The Blast from Our Past Network.
Hey everyone, co-host Corey here. I just wanted to take a quick second and say thank you to all of our Patreon supporters. Without you, Podcasting After Dark would not be possible. If you would like to help the show grow, please consider signing up at patreon.com/podcastingafterdark. You can also support the show by purchasing one of our awesome t-shirt designs on our merch store at podcastingafterdark.com, or by picking up a copy of 7 Winters Alone by David Irons on paperback, hardback, or Kindle. Just search for 7 Winters Alone on Amazon or click on the link in the show notes. A free way to help out is to leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Those reviews are huge for us and really helps get the show in front of new listeners. Again, thank you all so much for the love and support you've given us over these past few years. It really means the world to us.
Lock your doors, close your windows, turn out your lights, for chills and thrills await you. It's time for Podcasting After Dark with your hosts, Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer. Stay with a friend, say your prayers as grisly ghouls close in to seal your doom. Tonight's episode, Chopping Mall, starring Kelli Maroney, Tony O'Dell, and Russell Todd.
Corey 1 online.
Zach 1 online. Have a nice day. Like a bad Dalek, but whatever. I don't care. I don't even care.
I don't even care. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to this week's episode of Podcasting After Dark. I'm one half of the Pad team, Corey, a.k.a. Sleazy C. Joined with me, as always, is my brother from another mother, Zach, the total snackage Schaefer, a.k.a. Zach 1. What's
Zach
up, buddy?
Next time I night. I want to watch Doctor Who now.
You don't want to watch Killbots?
Sure, Killbots. Why not? Feeling good. Can't wait to talk about a movie that's like barely a little over an hour long.
Right? The perfect runtime for a movie like this, especially after yours was, what was it, like an hour? Wasn't Black Moon Rising about an hour and 36 minutes or something?
Oh, yeah. And I made the bold move for my next pick, which if you sign up for Patreon, you can find out this month ahead of time before anyone else. It's going to be, an hour and 49 minutes, I believe.
Jesus Christ.
I don't know what I did to myself.
Oh, you're a glutton for punishment, I guess.
Fuck me, right?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this week we are talking about Chopping Mall, a.k.a. Killbots, a.k.a. Robots, the acronym, as its script form. And I just want to, at the top of this episode, apologize for my voice. I am getting over a gnarly ass cold. I'm feeling fine, but I still have a little bit of it in my chest. Unfortunately, my wife just started her bout with it, so now as a household, we have to deal with it for another week. So, Zach, how are you feeling, dude?
A-okay.
You're like, feeling fine.
Don't want to make you feel bad, so I'm feeling fine.
Oh, that's all right. Buddy, Chopping Mall, my man, 1986, a movie that is probably one of the quintessential cult classics that we've covered on the show. Most people have seen this movie, and if you haven't, well, you really should. But what is your experience with Chopping Mall, a.k.a. Killbots?
This is, the first time I've watched it from beginning to end.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I've only watched it in bits and pieces on late night cable and GIFs and celebritymoviearchive.com. I'm kidding. Or am I? Yes, for certain scenes. That's all. I have very little familiarity with this movie outside of, just the clips that I've seen. And, we talked to Tony O'Dell from this and Karate Kid, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And when we interviewed him, we talked about Chopping Mall. And I remember looking up his scenes specifically so I could get familiarized with him or refamiliarized with his character. And he has a fondness for this movie. So I know this movie has a lot of love and fandom behind it. And for good reason. And then at times I'm like, for what reason? At times.
Yeah, no, it's not a perfect film. Sometimes I'm a little over the screaming, but thankfully when the running and screaming happens, the person usually tends to die pretty quickly, so that's always fun. But this was a movie that the VHS cover terrified me as a kid. I thought it looked horrifying. A robotic arm holding a bag full of body parts is a pretty scary image for an 8-year-old.
Kind of like a robotic / humanoidish like arm. Reminds me of the hand in House a little bit.
Yes, and I pick up on shades of House there. And even as a kid, as much as I was scared by the cover art, I also was impressed by it and thought it was very well done.
Yeah.
But I did watch it later in my life, and I enjoyed it. But it never kind of really went into my rotation heavily until I was an adult. Watched it with my wife a few years ago, and then have kind of been popping it on here and there pretty regularly because, at 76 minutes, it's a pretty easy watch.
Well, the director is known for making very short movies.
He's also known for making very sleazy movies.
Oh yes, that's a whole other thing. One movie he made fairly recently, Attack of the 50-Foot Cam Girl.
Yes.
1 hour, 1 minute long.
I think that was for what, Full Moon Pictures, probably.
I believe so. Shark Babes, 1 hour, 16 minutes long. Scared Topless, 1 hour, 20 minutes long. Okay. Well,
and so it's kind of perfect because you and I, since the inception of this show, have talked about that sweet spot at 80 minutes for some of these movies that are kind of, schlocky and everything. It's the perfect runtime. It doesn't overstay its welcome. And even here at 76 minutes, I could have trimmed 3 or 4 towards the end, just here and there and made it even, dare I say, this could be a perfect hour and 10-minute film.
Yeah. So, this reminds me of like serials back in the day, a short episodic movies. Well, I guess they would show them in the theater and then they'd wind up on television eventually, like Rocket Man and Flash Gordon and stuff like that. So it reminds me of that. And this was not Full Moon that did this, but it's Concord Pictures, which I believe is Roger Corman's production house.
Yeah, because I think this was produced by Julia Corman.
Yeah, so maybe it's his wife's side. And so, yeah, that tracks with these straight-to-video movies, straight to, like, limited theatrical run type stuff. And they're fun, they're mindless, they're brainless in many ways. And, there are things there's one particular actor in that I can think of off the top of my head that annoyed the hell out of me. And I couldn't wait for her demise because her character was screaming so much.
Oh, yeah.
And so whiny. And I'm like, wow, you're such a good actor, but you're not really doing it for me right now.
And I'm assuming you're referring to Barbara Crampton, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I was watching the behind the scenes on this on the Vestron Blu-ray, which is really good. It's got a lot of extras to it, and they number those things. And isn't this one like number 1 or something?
I believe it is. It's their first release. Yeah.
So she commented on the 30-minute documentary, about when she rewatches it, she even cringes at her overacting. And I agree with you. I think she's much better than she does in this movie, and I'm actually kind of shocked sometimes by how much I don't particularly like her character, because usually it's a home run for me with Barbara Crampton.
Yeah, I love her. I think, and I agree. I think she's a really good actor, but something happened here where the director was like, "No, that's fine. Keep going. That was good. That was a good take." Yeah. Maybe they did one take and they're done,
Yeah, I think that might have been the case because I think this was shot in about 22 days in the Sherman Oaks Galleria, which fans of Fast Times at Ridgemont High and Commando will recognize. But it was originally supposed to take place in the Beverly Center, which we see the outside shots of in the movie.
Yeah. And at the time, both were somewhat similar to each other, but now the Galleria was leveled in the Northridge earthquake, I believe, in like 1994 or something like that. So
was it?
It's not anything close to what it used to be.
Okay. I did not know that. I was actually going to ask you if you've ever been there before.
I mean, I went there post earthquake, so it pales in comparison to what it used to be. Which is sad.
Yeah.
And since COVID, even worse. But yeah, I mean, I nostalgic wise was loving the fact that it took place in a mall and looking at all the things, but I wish they would have played up the mall factor a little bit more in the beginning of the movie, but I love what they did with it.
Yeah, no, they did have some fun with it. Like I said, it was filmed in about 22 days. It was written in like just a few days and everything, and it's fine, whatever. And it was
that's obvious.
And it was originally titled Robots, which was an acronym, so it was like R period O period yada yada yada. Then they screened it for a test audience under Killbots, which is what they changed it, for the movie. I guess it did well, but the name no one liked the name, so then they changed it to Chopping Mall. Now, I think Chopping Mall is a fun name, but it doesn't quite fit with what is going on here. Like, Killbots is more appropriate, but I like the name Chopping Mall better.
Agreed. I would love to see a slasher movie called Chopping Mall.
It makes you think that there's a slasher chasing these kids around.
Yeah, which I would like to see.
And, just to kind of, before we start jumping into the cast and crew and everything, I do want to call out, like, script-wise and whatnot, it is a fast-paced movie, and it's, kind of lean and everything, and it's schlocky and all that stuff, but I do think it does some things right, like the fact that it kind of doesn't forget the characters die, like, the other characters still remember them, like, the deaths still affect them. Maybe Susie Slater's the only one it didn't really, no one really cared about afterwards. But, people would bring up, like, I hope Mike got out and everything like that. And I appreciated that. I appreciated that none of the characters' deaths sort of, like, slid by anybody.
No, and the premise is cool. The premise is really cool. And I think that, as far as indie kind of, not student film, because the guy, Jim Wynorski, the director, had done a few movies prior to this as well. It's like there's times when it feels very subpar, but it gets a passing grade as far as I'm concerned because of the fun scenes in the movie.
Yeah,
I agree. The fun ideas too. It's smart, but man, oh man, there's one particular thing. If you're gonna shoot a gun, make sure you don't blink when you shoot every time you pull the trigger. Russell Todd, aka Rick Stanton. Oh my gosh, bless his heart. I love that dude. I love the way he looks, his whole image and everything. But my God, that guy, woofa, when he shoots a gun, it's like it's hilarious. It is actually one of the highlights of this movie, watching him shoot a gun.
Well, one might say it might actually be realistic because technically his character probably has never shot a gun before, so he doesn't quite know what he's doing. So maybe it's accurate.
I just like the fact that he's like blinking constantly, like twitching almost when he's shooting the gun.
I know. I thought the exact same thing. And boy, oh boy, do I like Russell Todd, but yeah, he's interesting in this movie. You might be surprised who my favorite character is.
Well, we're going to find out in a minute, but yeah, if you ever seen the movie The Experts with John Travolta actually fires the gun the same way. It's hilarious because he's just like twitching and like wincing and kind of almost like he's about to cry because he's like, but Rick's trying to look cool while he's doing it.
Now, before we jump into everything, I do want to ask you, have you ever worked retail at a mall before?
Not at a mall. Not at a mall.
You worked at Tower Records, right?
Yeah, I worked at Tower Records for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And that has its own set of stories, but that's as close to like mainstream retail as I ever got.
Okay, yeah, I've worked in multiple places retail wise, in and out of malls, and I gotta tell you, when you work in a mall, it is a different like culture, like the employees, because you sort of get to know each other and everything, and you see each other after hours and stuff. But I never stayed after hours to party though.
You didn't party in your uncle's or dad's furniture shop?
Having sex next to your friends and everything?
Yeah, like high-fiving practically?
Yeah, no.
Now I know where my brother gets some of his ideas from.
I honestly thought the exact same thing about Eric.
Yeah, give me some skin. No, don't.
Don't look. Why don't you not look at me while you're having sex right now?
Hey, isn't this great? It was until you looked at me. Boo!
Well, you already started talking about the director. Do you want to bring up any other movies of note of his?
I mean, he goes from making like dog movies, A Dog on Christmas, to like sex movies.
Scared topless.
Yeah, with porn stars.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, he's working.
He's working. Look, I mean, he's fulfilling all the markets. The kids market. He goes from kid movies to sex movies. So, really interesting. And it's really interesting. Jim Wynorski is. I'm sure he's a nice guy. I've never met the dude. But man, he makes every teenage boy. He covers all the prepubescent bases. He covers like the young adolescent. Oh, this is cute. It's a fun movie about, looking for treasure with a dog, into, I'm starting to feel a change in my body. It's time to watch Busty Cops 2, Busty Cops 3. Oh, and then Curse of the Komodo.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I recognize so many VHS covers, and I've seen so many of his movies, like The Haunting of, The Haunting of Morella, 1990. I remember that. Dude, I remember like 976 Evil 2. I never saw it, but I remember the cover at the VHS store and everything.
Talk to David Irons about 976 Evil 2. I think that's on his list of bad movies.
But he did direct Not of This Earth with Tracy Lords.
Yes, which, it was Tracy Lord's quote unquote mainstream film. Look, I think friend of the show and fellow podcaster Aaron Gilmer, who has Manic Movie Monday podcast. I'm sure a lot of these movies will wind up on her list. Virtual Desire, perhaps. Body Chemistry 4. Right? Am I wrong? Sorceress. Munchie. Definitely not Munchie, but he covers it's Return of Swamp Thing, not a good movie.
No,
Big Bad Mama 2,
movie.
Not a bad movie. But Big Bad Mama 2 is not a bad movie. I actually remember enjoying that one. Death Stalker 2, I did not dislike as well, and it's got John Terlesky in that, who's Mike in this, I believe.
Yeah.
And Monique Gabrielle, who, we all know and love.
Yes, we do. And
Jim Wynorski, he likes to, by the way, if you ever stalk his Facebook, he likes to enlarge women's breasts in photos.
Oh.
Just for fun.
Okay. Good to know. Good to know.
I mean, this is going to be the most woke episode. If we ever got Jim Wynorski on the show, oofa doofa. What's a merkin and how often do you use it?
Exactly. Now, why don't you pull up Steve Mitchell, his writing partner? Look at what he's currently
you pull
working
it up,
on.
I'm afraid.
Oh no, buddy. Why don't you check out what he's currently working on IMDb?
A little documentary?
A little documentary called Working Class Actor with our pal Wings Hauser.
Our pal Wings Hauser. It's got a shit ton of interviews in it from the who's who of talent, from that runs the gamut from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So, yeah, Wings. You guys know Wings. You listen to our interview. You know how hard it was to book that interview. Get Wings. The saga of Wings. We love our Wings.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's working on that.
Hopefully we'll see that soon. But he
I
also
hope so.
But he also produced that Larry Cohen documentary called King Cohen. So he's doing some cool shit.
Yeah. I mean, look, those are two icons right there, Larry Cohen and Wings Hauser. Rest in peace to Larry Cohen, and Wings is very much alive and kicking.
Oh yeah, hell
Our boy.
yeah. Hell yeah.
When are you gonna do that movie that I did, that drama? No, we're gonna do the ones that fit Pad.
Yeah, exactly, buddy. And don't worry, guys and gals, we still have Wings movies in the wings.
So many, and they're gonna keep coming
Forever
so
and ever.
If you don't like Wings Hauser, sorry, you'll. If you don't like Wings Hauser, you will love him by the time we're done covering Wings movies.
And then before we get into the total cast, I do want to call out that this was produced by Julie Corman, who is Roger Corman's wife.
Yeah, and if you're familiar with the Southern California area, I think the production studio was here in Venice. And in the outside the studio, it's this big, like, kind of iron structure that is actually a giant binoculars. It's very interesting. It's iconic.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever been down there. Okay, cool.
Yeah, right on Main Street. If you take Main Street in Santa Monica towards Venice, you'll see it. And I think now it's like it's a Google building or BuzzFeed or something like that.
Okay.
So, anyways,
the dredge of society. Okay.
Yeah, it has history at least.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, buddy, you want to rattle off who's in this amazing film?
Boney Maroney. Sorry, Kelli Maroney plays Allison Parks. You guys know her from Night of the Comet,
of course,
and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. So she went back to the Galleria. Well, actually, I don't know if she was actually ever in the Galleria in Fast Times, because I only remember her from being a cheerleader at the pep rally, the football games. That's what I remember her from. But man, she's constantly working. She's actually doing the sequel to Sorority Babes and the Slimeball Bowl-orama.
Yeah, we may. I'm dabbling with the idea of we should do something with that. I don't know if we'll do a full breakdown or whatever, but we may do something with that when it comes out.
Yeah, I mean, if she'd like to come on the show and talk about it and promote it, we'll have her on
and not charge
free of charge.
And
we
not
won't charge her to come on.
Yeah.
But no, she's a really sweet person. I met her in real life, and in real life, and she's the lead in this. It's not her first. Yeah, it's not her first movie, by any means. And she's supposed to play like a teenager. It's pretty convincing.
Yeah.
Looks like a teenager. And I do appreciate her being like the innocent kind of, she's like the Ripley basically, or she's the innocent who turns into a badass by the end of it.
Yeah, and then the whole thing with like her dad, my dad's in the Marine or something, that feels like an extension of Night of the Comet and everything. It almost feels like she's a little typecast in this regard, which is not surprising considering the director. So there's no casting director for this movie, by the way. Fun fact: the director and the writer cast everybody themselves, and he saw Kelli Maroney in Night of the Comet and wanted to put her in this.
So no casting director, huh? That is interesting.
Yeah,
well, that speaks volume. I'm curious how many movies Mr. Wynorski has done without a casting director.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry. No. I'll audition them. Oh boy.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. So, moving on.
Hey, my buddy who likes to tag team with me, he's going to do the casting. I'm sorry, bad play on words, tag team. I meant he's going to double up. Wait,
no.
Hold on. He's going to pull a train. Wait, hold on. Bad choice of words.
Spit roast. Oh man, what now?
What? Wait, hold on. Bad choice of words. Hold on. Okay. Our boy Tony O'Dell.
Yeah.
Todd plays Ferdy. What a terrible name, by the way.
I know. It really is. But he was a joy to talk to, a wonderful human being. If you haven't listened to our interview, go back and check it out. It's about almost a year ago at this point. But he does, like Zach said, he does speak very fondly of this film. Actually, everyone in the cast really liked their time in this movie and look back on it fondly and embrace the fandom now with it. But, he has a lot of screen time in this movie.
He does. He does, and he's a good actor. He's a really good
really
actor.
is.
We talked about his show Otherworld on TV Obscura.
Yeah.
We had him on we did the interview with him, head of the class, Karate Kid. He's got a great story of how he got cast in Karate Kid. So if you haven't listened to that interview, go check it out. But yeah, he's a fun actor, and he does obviously he works more behind the scenes nowadays. But he's very believable in the role that he's in.
Yeah, and if you listen to the interview, you'll find out that he was like Zendaya's acting coach for like years. And I mean, she's a megastar, and I think that says a lot about him, about Tony O'Dell.
Yeah, and good job, Jim Wynorski, for casting Tony O'Dell.
I agree. I agree.
Hey, Tony, you want to see this guy? Hey, Jim, you want to see this guy? Wait, you say guy? Nah, forget it. We got another woman coming here. Oh, yeah, bring her on in.
Now, I will say, they do equally cast stud farms as they do hot ladies. So
no doubt. No doubt. Russell Todd,
yeah.
a.k.a. Rick Stanton, is a stud farm.
Yeah, yes, he is. Yes, he is. I know him from Friday the 13th Part 2.
I don't, but I'm sure if I watched the movie again, I would see him.
You know him from Riptide, don't you?
I mean, yeah, he was on Riptide for a little while, actually. So I believe he was on Riptide for a little while. By the way, Riptide will definitely show up on TV Obscura. No doubt, Cub Scout.
Yeah, you've been talking about that since probably the inception of TV Obscura.
Yeah, for sure. The guy did a lot of television, and he's a good-looking dude. He falls into that category. Look, for every actor that made it, there's 1,000 more that did not. So he was lucky for what he's done. Every actor it's not just talent, it's also luck, and it's also knowing people. So hats off to him getting this gig and being a memorable dude and almost making it.
And almost making it to the end.
Almost. You know who else didn't make it to the end, but nevertheless she's fun to see on screen is Linda, his wife in the movie. Linda Stanton, played by Carrie Emerson. I like her. She was good.
I liked her too. I honestly don't know her from anything else.
Very small roles. But, if you go on her IMDb, there's one movie that's listed called White Dog. If you've never seen White Dog, it's a cool, kind of horror drama with Christy McNichol and Jameson Parker. And, we love our Jameson Parker. And definitely seek that movie out. Paul Bartel is in that too, and Paul Bartel has a small little cameo in this as well. So go check out White Dog.
Oh, no shit. Yeah, all that sounds awesome. I've never even heard of this, but I'm looking at it now, and wow, that is interesting. A trainer attempts to retrain a vicious dog that's been raised to attack black people. That's a story right there. Okay, that's a premise right there.
I mean, look, it's a movie that would probably be shown at the New Beverly Cinema for Grindhouse Night.
Yeah.
Maybe the subject matter now is not by any means woke, but back in the day, it has a good message, ultimately. Paul Winfield's in it as well.
Okay.
Great cast. Dick Miller's in it.
Our boy Dick Miller's in this.
He sure is. God damn, I love Dick Miller. I just watched Gremlins 1 and Gremlins 2, and I was just like, oh man, he's such good stuff.
Dude, you can never, ever go wrong with Dick Miller in your movie.
No, you put a little dick in your movie, come out with a baby.
You got Miller.
Yeah. Put a little dick in, you got Miller. And okay, so now we get to Susie Lynn, played by Barbara Crampton. Oh, Barbara Crampton, amazing, wonderful actor, scream queen. But this movie just, there should have been out. They should have reshot some scenes.
I'm not gonna mince words. It's probably my least favorite performance of hers. I mean, dude, I've seen so much, of her. Figuratively, I've seen so much of her, but like from Reanimator to From Beyond and everything in between and a million other things. She's still working now. You're Next. We're Still Here. A million freaking movies. And she's fantastic always, but not quite in this. But again, like I said, in the documentary, I do think she's painfully aware that this isn't her best thing.
Yeah, but nevertheless, she's in it, and she's a huge name and iconic. I think she's iconic.
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie to you, I'm always kind of surprised that she dies in it because it's kind of rare that she does in these movies. And I'm always like, oh yeah, I forget she kind of dies horribly too.
Well, if Stuart Gordon had directed this, she wouldn't have died.
Exactly. His
Stuart
wife would have.
Gordon.
He would have made his wife burn instead.
Stu, are you gonna kill Barbara in this one finally? No, babe. But you're gonna die. Oh, great. Okay.
Your eyeball is gonna get eaten out, and then you're gonna get kneed in the stomach, and then your brains are gonna get eaten out through your eyeball. Is that cool, babe? Are we good tonight? Can we have sex? Sure.
Sure. Nick Segal, no relation to Steven, plays Greg Williams. Again, I like all the white frat boys in this. The white frat boys are good, and he's good. He's been in a bunch of stuff from in the 80s.
Yeah, no, Breakin' 2 is probably the thing that I recognize most, but I don't really know him personally from it, but that's just sort of the name that, like, I couldn't picture him in it,
I don't either, but look, he was in a show called The Famous Teddy Z with John Cryer in the 80s, which is a fun sitcom. Duet with Matthew Lawrence, no relation to Joey Lawrence, fun actor from Eddie and the Cruisers and Walter Hill movies. I love all those sitcoms. These are shows that'll probably pop up on TV Obscura, so don't be surprised if Nick Segal gets brought back up again.
I am A-okay with that. And my favorite character and actor in the whole movie, John Turleski as Mike Brennan, I found him to be an absolute delight. Also a mega stud farm. His body is rocking. But I thought he was so much fun. And, in the interview, he's like, the whole chewing gum thing that he's sort of famous for in this role. He's like, I did it because, this character is supposed to be unlikable. He's supposed to be an asshole. You're not really supposed to like him. So I kind of did that. And I was like, but you actually made him more endearing for some reason. And maybe that's just John Turleski. But I fucking loved him in this.
Yeah, they kind of blew it with making him, if his girlfriend was more sympathetic, then he would have been more unlikable. But his girlfriend was annoying too, so it actually made him look cooler, a.k.a. Nick Cassavetes lookalike. And I mean, they're both, they got that beautiful jaw.
Yeah, that strong jawline.
Yeah, and this dude has been in everything from television to straight-to-video movies, and he's still working today.
Yeah, he's still working on. Yeah, he's still working on shows like The Blacklist and SWAT on CBS. Like those are big ass shows, and he was on The Equalizer too. So he's working. Yeah. Honestly, I would love to interview him, but I mean, like at this point, like why would he want to be? He's got so much work, but he doesn't need to come on our show.
Who knows? But stranger things have happened.
True.
Susie Slater plays Leslie Todd. Oh, Susie. She's a babe, and she's in Real Men. She plays the woman in bed in Real Men.
I know, I saw that. I just watched Real Men within like the last, I think, month and a half or something like that. But yeah, yeah, she's hot. She's amazing, honestly. And but she was also in Savage Streets as well. It's kind of a minor role. I do love in the credits of this film, they kind of show everybody a scene from the movie, and for her, they pause it on her head exploding.
It's hilarious.
Now, this head exploding scene is very famous. People debate, best head explosions in movies, and this one's up there with Scanners and, all the other great ones. And I think, personally, with the way they shot it and the way it cuts, or the way they edited it, I think it's a fantastic head explosion.
I agree. It looks great.
Yeah.
Slowed in slow motion or regular.
Yeah.
She was in a show called Boys Will Be Boys, and from 1987, It's a Matthew Perry sitcom.
Oh my God! Look at Matthew Perry.
And Randy Heller from Karate Kid is in it. The kid Damian Slade from I Want My $2 from Better Off Dead is in it.
Yes, he is.
What a listen. The premise is a deceased ne'er-do-well gets a chance to redeem himself when he returns to the present to guide his younger self on the straight and narrow. Oh, it's like Matthew Perry now wishing he could go back and talk to his former self about all the drugs and alcohol that he put into his body.
To not do all that drugs and alcohol. Wow.
Yeah.
Myra loves Friends. I'm going to have to show her a picture of 1987 Matthew Perry.
I've got stories about Matthew Perry. So.
Oh, I did not know that.
And my ex-wife was like BFFs with him.
Oh, okay. Okay,
so
those
if you
kind of
want
stories.
Dirt, yeah. Those are some amazing stories. So really quick, we don't really need to list off the movies that they've been in, but my God, Paul Bartel, Mary Warnov, Dick Miller, and Garrett Graham. There's a 4 horsemen of the B-movie apocalypse right there.
Oh my God, dude. And all of them are in the movie for such a short amount of time, and they almost feel like vignettes because there's really like no connection to the rest of the group and everything, but each one of them crushes their scene so much. I don't know which one I love more. If I had to pick, I'd probably go with the Garrett Graham scene. I loved that scene, but I mean, all of them are great. And Paul Bartel and Mary Warnov, they apparently ad-libbed a lot of their dialogue during the presentation at the beginning of the scene that they're in.
That seems obvious. Did you notice Angus Scrimm?
Yes, I did, and it took me 2 viewings to find him, and I have it in the breakdown notes where he is, so I can call him out there.
So Angus Scrimm, the tall man.
Yep, he's in it without a close-up. It's really crappy. You only see him. I'll just say it now. He asks a question in the presentation. He stands up, but you only see him in a long shot from behind, and they don't even give him a close-up. And I missed him the first time I watched it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's like Tony Naples is another actor too who's been in every Jim Wynorski movie, but she's kind of a B-movie scream queen-esque. I mean, this movie has like a bunch of people in it. So Arthur Roberts, who plays Mr. Todd, he plays the father of
Susie Slater's character. I think it's in my script, but I think it's like Linda, maybe. I think.
Yeah,
no, it's not. It's not Linda. It doesn't matter. We'll get to it. But yeah, I know who you're talking about.
I'm like, why do I know this guy? Oh, because he was in Not of This Earth and Revenge of the Ninja and
Up in Smoke. Yep. General Hospital too.
Yeah, dude. Like a lot of movies. At first, I was like, wait, was he in Reanimator? But he looks like the one of the guys in Reanimator. Anyways, he's been in a ton of stuff as well.
And then I will just want to call out one last person, Angela Ames. She has a small role at the beginning of the presentation, but we saw her in Bachelor Party.
We sure did. I was waiting for you to call her out. One more person in that presentation I want to call out as well. But yeah, just like a glimpse, and you're like, oh shit, I remember her.
Yeah. For
something else. Some things else. And the guy who runs the presentation, Dr. Simon, his name's Paul Kufus. He was in a movie called Food of the Gods Part 2. If you've never seen Food of the Gods or Food of the Gods Part 2, highly recommend you check those out. They're bad but good. A growth hormone experiment gets out of hand when the resulting giant man-eating rats escape, wreaking havoc on unsuspecting campus with blood flowing everywhere. So, Food of the Gods.
I just want to call out the fact that Paul Kufis, when he says robot, he says robot. And just so you all know, I will refer to them as robots for the rest of the movie.
Go for it.
All right, buddy. Are you ready to get your shopping mall on?
I am ready.
They broke into the mall for the wildest all-night party of their lives.
Get that meat.
But you're never alone in the chopping mall.
that? Robot blood.
Shopping mall, where shopping costs you an arm and a leg.
The movie opens with a young hoodlum breaking into a jewelry store in a mall after hours and stealing a handful of pearl necklaces and other shiny things. As he's casually walking away, we see one of the Killbots creep up on him. The thief pulls a gun and the Killbot tells him to
Stop right there and lower your weapon.
He unloads the revolver on the metal security guard to no effect. So, of course, the thief takes off running with the Killbot in hot pursuit. The robot catches up with him and shoots him in the back with a taser and gives him a lethal dose of electricity.
That dude was in Not of This Earth, by the way.
Oh, okay, cool. The thief falls over dead and the Killbot stands next to him heroically. Music kicks in and text on the screen reads, "The End. Securetronics production" pops up on the screen. Just then, a film projector stops playing and we see a group of people in a mall after hours sitting in their chairs. A young woman walks up to the podium and says, "That concludes the film portion of our presentation. Now I'm sure you have questions, so let me introduce you to the head of development for Securetronics Unlimited, Dr. Stan Simon." Everyone claps as Dr. Simon walks on stage. Now, I think it was cool to start the movie that way, this little bait and switch scene, you know?
Oh, yeah. It's great. I loved it. That's one of my first notes. I thought, oh, that's a cool commercial. I love how they did that.
Yep, me too. Dr. Simon says, "Before I open the floor, I'd like you all to meet your brand new security team, the Protector 101 series." We see two young ladies remove the sheet covering three robots on stage. Dr. Simon continues, "1 week from tonight at closing, the Protectors will begin their patrol of the mall." The camera pans over the crowd and we see Mr. and Mrs. Bland in the front row, played by Paul Bartel and Mary Warnoff.
Mary Bland and Paul Bland. It's hilarious.
It is. I love it. I wonder if they just made up their own names or something.
I'm sure they did.
Mrs. Bland says they look like the Three Stooges. I like their commentary, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No, it's good. It's a highlight. I feel like the opening of this movie is very strong.
Very much agreed. Dr. Simon keeps giving his presentation. Each assigned to one of three upper shopping levels. Mr. Bland comments, "The one in the middle has an unpleasantly ethnic quality." That is gold, I thought.
Yes, it is.
I mean, inappropriate gold, but gold.
Of course. I mean, like, again, this was back in the day when everything... the Wild West.
Well, and I think they're also supposed to be sort of, uppity kind of crappy people too, you know?
Yeah, these are all the people that work for the mall, I take it?
I think these are all the store owners of the mall.
That's what I meant, yeah.
And real quick, side note, an interesting factor of this film is every business in the mall seems to be owned by a small business owner, which may have been the case back in the day, but nowadays every business is just owned by a conglomerate.
Yeah, that was the case. You know, they're all independent. They're renting a space basically.
Okay, so this was maybe a bit more accurate than I thought it was then.
I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I think they rented a space in the mall.
And just over time, like everything, just companies buy up all these small stores. And then, what was once, a mom and pop, trendy clothing store gets turned into an H&M, a franchise place.
Yep, pretty much.
Sad. Dr. Simon asks if anyone has any questions. Angus Scrim, with no close-up whatsoever, raises his hand and asks what these machines do besides kill criminals. Dr. Simon says, well, first of all, the Protectors do not kill. They merely detain intruders until the computer, located on the roof, can patch into the mall system and send an alarm to the police. Two comments I want to make. That's a problem with the script. One, they say the computer is on the roof, and later in the movie, it's somewhere on the middle level. And then also they say here that the Protectors protect the top 3 floors, but they clearly protect the bottom 3 in this movie.
Who cares? There's going to be a bunch of naked chicks in about 15 minutes.
Yep, this is just me nitpicking over nothing, pretty much.
No, but it's, come on. Like, are you making a movie that's going to stand the test of time that people go, wow, that was a good movie? Or are you going to make a movie where people go, wow, there's lots of tits and, teenagers get to beat off to it and pause and shit like that? I mean,
I'd rather make the latter, I guess.
Jim Wynorski. Classy.
Zach's like, I'd rather make the former, I think.
Stay classy, Jim. Stay classy.
There you go. Mr. Bland chimes in that the guy in the movie looks awful dead to him. Well, I mean, it's a movie, dumbass. Just neutralized. Protectors can achieve this function in a number of ways. At close range, sleep darts can knock a man out in less than 30 seconds. However, the likelihood of an intruder gaining entry is greatly minimized by the steel doors, which are locked from midnight until dawn. And we see a shot of a high-tech looking metal door closing over the exit. I'll say the steel door things were actually pretty well done. Clearly like miniatures or something, but I think effective.
Totally effective and realistic too.
Yeah. And I mean, something reminded me like something out of like RoboCop, like OCP would have.
Yeah. It's like, in the future, this is the future mall.
Yeah, exactly. Mrs. Bland stands up and asks, if they're called protectors, what do they protect? Dr. Simon replies, plenty. And did you notice the look on her face when he says plenty? She's like, me. And she like sits back down, like sort of dejected.
Yeah. Classic Warnov.
I know. She's fun. She's always great. We loved her in Night of the Comet. For starters.
And TerrorVision,
and especially TerrorVision. For starters, the protectors do their work in the mall proper, not in the stores themselves. Mr. Bland comments to his wife, maybe we can use one of these in the restaurant. Get rid of people we don't like. I'm assuming he's referring to ethnic-looking people.
You would. No, I'm kidding. I'm assuming he's referring to people named Jim Shipling. What? Who? I fucking hate that guy. Wait, who's Jim Shipling, Corey? You know who Jim Shipling is? He works at the pack and ship down the street. Always fucks up my packages that I try to send to you. Hate that guy. Kill him.
Is this a real person?
No, I'm joking.
Okay. Okay. Dr. Simon goes on, for instance, lasers positioned here, he points to the Killbots' red visor, can cut through any sort of debris. Another store owner stands up, and this is Susie Slater character's dad, later, we'll find out, stands up and asks, what about those of us who work late? How can your things there distinguish between the good guys and the bad guys? Dr. Simon says it's very simple. He radios to the control room and tells them to bring number 1 online. The Killbot comes to life and rolls forward to Dr. Simon. The machine barks.
May I see your identification badge, please?
Dr. Simon holds out his badge and the machine scans it. Mr. Bland says to his wife, they remind me of your mother. It's the laser eyes. That was a good one, too.
They remind me of my German friend who I admire so much.
My German boyfriend.
Stuart Scott. I call him SS for short.
The SS
He's
minnow.
so clean.
Once this Killbot is done scanning the ID, it says,
thank you. Have a nice day.
Dr. Simon looks back at the crowd and says that the system is foolproof. Everyone employed at the mall has been issued a badge, so when the system goes online, the protectors will make Park Plaza the safest mall in the state. Trust me, nothing can go wrong. And of course, Mr. and Mrs. Bland look at each other and roll their eyes. The camera dollies in on the one Killbot that's activated right now, and the title Chopping Mall appears over it with a great font. Man,
great font.
Such a better title than Split Second.
I totally agree. Cue the most frantic opening scene for a movie ever.
Yes. Cut to a montage of mall life while the credits play. We see the outside of the Beverly Center, but like I said, the inside is the Sherman Oaks Galleria. There's all kinds of fun scenes. Joey from A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 and 4 is seen obviously stealing records from a store.
Yep.
An old couple watching a young couple make out, and then they kiss too. I like that.
Yeah, but like the music's like
Yeah, it's
very frenetic. I wrote the opening's wild because it's like sped up double time, so everything's kind of moving faster than normal, and the music is odd. It's horror-esque type music for a scene that I think is supposed to be a little bit more saccharine sweet, I think, even though there's like the shots of the shoplifter and there's the woman dumping food all over her family accidentally. It's very frenetic. It's very cocaine induced.
The kid with the ice cream cone getting crushed in the elevator and having the ice cream squirmed like all over him. The parade of beauty pageant contestants in bikinis walking around with their ass cheeks hanging out, like in a mall with kids.
Jim Wynorski, stay classy.
Corey Stevenson would have been so happy in this mall back in the day.
You know he's going to listen to this, by the way. You know Jim Wynorski's listening to this.
Jim, we'd love to talk to you, buddy. Come on the show.
Yeah. We appreciate you.
Of course we do. You don't call me Sleazy C for nothing. Zach knows what's up.
I sure do.
The montage ends at a small Italian restaurant, eatery type of thing inside the mall where Allison, Kelli Maroney, and Susie, Barbara Crampton, are working. Roger Corman and I think other B-movie posters are all over the restaurant. So I guess it's probably all Roger and Julia Corman movies and stuff.
Yeah, yep. I think in Jim Wynorski's movies, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. Yeah, Deathstalker. Yeah, things like that. Yeah. It's crazy. Yep. We see the cook yelling for Allison and Susie to give him food orders. Allison says, "Can I get 2 Uncle Luigi belly busters, a double anchovy pizza, and an order of garlic logs?" Wowzers. I mean, that just gives
heart
me
attack.
I was going to say, that gives me heartburn just saying it.
Well, the guy saying it too, I wrote down, I'm like, "Ooh, that guy, doesn't have a long lifespan."
The chef or whatever?
The guy who gets the food order next.
The orca. Yeah. No, that dude's probably not alive right now.
Nope.
Susie says, "That's so gross." All right, guys and gals, there's some weird dialogue in this movie that I don't quite understand, but thank God. Vestron Blu-ray, subtitles, we love you. So, here we go.
Thank you. Take that, Shout Factory.
Exactly. What Mojave brain ordered that? Have you ever heard the phrase Mojave brain?
No. And then the dialogue that Allison and Susie have together, you'll quote it, you'll point it out. It's so cringeworthy.
It is. A lot of it is cringeworthy. It's wild. I mean, Mojave brain is literally the tip of the iceberg, guys and gals.
What? Because it's like desert?
I guess, but I've never, heard that before. My sister is, she's 7 years older than me. So she's probably about, 4 years older than you, but she would be a little bit older in the 80s. And I'm curious if she would never watch a movie like this. But I'm curious if these are actually phrases that maybe you and I were too young to sort of know, and maybe they were a bit more like trendy phrases.
I'm going to say no.
Because we've never heard them in another movie ever.
Yep, I'm going to say no.
You're right. I'm going to say Zach is right.
There's what's the movie Runaway, Tom Selleck, and there's a prostitute that gets arrested, and she calls Tom Selleck a wienerhead. She's like, "You wienerhead," and I always thought that was so funny because I'm like, no one would call someone a wienerhead. No one says that. You know who wrote that? Michael Crichton.
He's like, "This is gold, Jerry, gold."
Wienerhead. Everyone's going to be using it. It's like, but it is, you know what though? But then there's Shane Black who wrote the Monster Squad. Who would have thought in a million years Nards would be funny?
And still around because of the same movie. Like, if anyone in 2022 says Nards, I'm 9 times out of 10 you're referring to Monster Squad.
Yeah. Or you got dorked.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and at the time I remember thinking that sounded stupid, and I would never say that. But now I watch it with a fondness. Mojave brain, no,
not so much.
Good effort though.
A for effort. Allison points to a very fat guy in the corner. Susie laughs and says she should have known.
That orca beaches here every night, always trying to snag some skin. Play it safe, Allison. Serve at arm's length if you get my drift. And then we see the cook, the old cook, smoking a cigarette behind the counter. I mean, not only is he indoors, he's in a restaurant, and he's cooking with the cigarette in his mouth.
Disgusting.
Allison says, and apparently it's like Allison's only been there for like a week or something like that. Allison says, thanks for the advice, then grabs a hot plate and drops it on the floor. Someone yells, that's one, that's kind of, and people laugh. I thought that was kind of funny. The cook rolls.
That was funny.
Yeah. The cook rolls his eyes and he says, you're breaking my heart. While the two girls are cleaning up the mess, Susie tells Allison that in an hour and a half, we bail this barbecue and it's good times to the max. You've just got to show. Is that good times to the max?
I mean that tracks with the 80s, but like,
you're like,
it's their delivery. It just doesn't. It falls flat to me.
Well, and it's sometimes it's also the fact that like she's playing a 16-year-old, but she's clearly like 25.
Exactly.
Allison says she doesn't want to go to the party because she doesn't know anybody, but Susie reminds her that she will after tonight. It's actually true. I actually like that.
Sure, yeah.
Allison is apprehensive, but Susie says she would never set her up with a slime dog. That's a quote, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
No way, babe. Then they both say in unison, it is babe, isn't it? The cook tells him to get back to work, and we see the orca ask for more butter.
Who in their right mind would say that to a chick? It is your name. It is babe, isn't it? Like in reference to their name? Is that what that's supposed to be?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't honestly get the whole running gag in this movie of the whole it is babe, isn't it? I guess
it comes up 3 times,
yeah.
Right? I think it's 3 times.
Yeah, two or three or something. But yeah, it is multiple times. But I took it as maybe it's an inside joke between them. And you know what? I'm cool with that if it's like if we're just hearing something that's their inside joke. Otherwise, I don't really get it, to be honest with you.
I don't get it. It doesn't fit. It doesn't work for me.
It's not sexy, Jack.
It's not sexy. What would have been funny is if he said something like, if they said something like, names don't matter, babe, or like, who cares about names, babe, or something like that. I don't know.
Or if they said, pass the butter, babe, and then, he asked for the butter or whatever. Because I don't know if are they referring, or like, are they mocking the fat guy? Or are they mocking some other guy that she tried to, are they mocking somebody that Susie tried to set Allison up with before, maybe?
Yes, that's what I think.
Okay, all right.
And then I'm like, Susie, Allison's no catch.
Ooh, boom.
Not gonna lie.
I mean, give me Mike any day. You know what? What now?
What? Yeah.
Cut to the outside of the mall at night, and there's a thunderstorm. So the movie must take place in January or February, right? Because that's the only time it remotely rains in LA.
Yes.
We see a lab technician working in the Killbot control room. He's monitoring things at his desk when lightning hits a breaker on the roof, causing alarms to go off and smoke to come out of the control panel. The technician thinks he has everything under control and goes back to reading his Playboy magazine. Just then, one of the robots comes to life and punches through the centerfold and rips out his throat. By the way, my takeaway here is they're all MacGruber's. They do throat rips throughout this entire movie.
And then they put double-deckers in the toilet. It's where you take a shit in the tank. Okay, why did you have to explain that to me? You fuck.
I love MacGruber so much.
So do I. MacGruber!
Guys, tug! When she's flipping through his notebook and finds the madness about the guy with the license plate. I can't.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so good. But yeah, so I was getting MacGruber vibes this whole time because that's their go-to. They do throat rips. It's great.
I mean, maybe MacGruber got that from this.
I wouldn't be surprised. And also, too, you know what I have no problem ever buying is that lightning turns robots sentient. I never have a problem with that whatsoever.
It turned a spa into a death spa. So there you go.
It turned an army robot into a very nice robot in Short Circuit. It's almost the reverse of this.
Yeah, agreed.
It also turned Fisher Stevens into a Pakistani man.
Yeah, that didn't track very well. Hey, Fisher Stevens, you got a problem playing against type? No, not at all. What's the roll call for? Middle Eastern?
But I'm not. No, Middle Eastern.
You mind wearing some brown on your skin? You mean like blackface? No, it's not racist because it's not black, it's brown. No, that's racist still. No, it's not, because you're not doing like an African accent. You're doing like a Pakistani accent. That's still racist. No, it's not, because it's no, it's not. It's okay.
And it's only like a few years after The Burning where he plays like a kid at a summer camp.
Yeah, from New York.
Wild, dude. The 80s, wild.
Hey everybody, Corey here. I just want to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Hey everybody, I'm Tim.
And I'm Dean.
And we're the hosts of Talking Back. We're a retro-based podcast covering movies, comics, video games, and more.
Check us out every Monday where we hit the rewind button and dig into some of our favorite content from the past. We like to keep things fun, lighthearted, and informative.
Do you feel like you need more nostalgia in your life? Then check out Talking Back. We're available everywhere podcasts are found.
I'm John, and I'm the host of Action. Every week, I'm joined by James.
Heyo.
And Dustin.
Hello.
And each week, we review, debate, and rank a different action movie.
We're creating the ultimate list of action movies.
From awful to awesome.
So if you want to hear 3 more white guys with beards talk about action movies.
And argue about where they belong on our list.
And decide you hate us because we made fun of your favorite movie.
Join us every Tuesday, and you can find us on your favorite podcatcher.
And Steven Seagal is a joke.
And now, back to the show.
Cut to a furniture store in the mall, and Ferdy, played by Tony O'Dell, comes out of the back room with an armful of fabric samples. He walks over to Greg, Nick Seagal, and Mike, John Terleski, and says, "If my Uncle Sid finds out I let you do this, I'm dead." Mike asks if he's going to chicken shit out on them again. Ferdy says that Sid trusts him to take care of the store while he's gone. Mike says he ain't going to know diddly unless you tell him. Greg chimes in and tells Mike he's becoming a real candidate for prickhood. He says if the place looks like shit on Monday, it's all their asses. So let's have a little teamwork. Greg asks Mike if he has the beer, and Mike says, "Dude." I love Mike.
I love that.
The fridge is packed. Greg goes on, "Rick and Linda are bringing the food. Clean sheets are definitely waiting. And Susie has a surprise for you." He smiles at Ferdy while Mike makes a weird face, but I love it.
They all make interesting faces.
Make interesting choices.
Jim Wynorski. Interesting choices.
Good one. Ferdy eventually agrees to the party, and Mike leaves the store to go find his girlfriend, Leslie. There you go. Leslie is Susie Slater's name. For some reason, I always forget her name. Well, she doesn't last very long, so that's probably why.
Nope.
Outside in a parking lot, we see Rick, Russell Todd, working on the engine of his truck, while Linda, Carrie Emerson, is in the driver's seat. There's a sign on the side of the truck that says, "Ardell Automotives, we got away with wheels." I wrote it down because the camera zoomed in on it, but I didn't find it to be all that clever. But I do like the fact that they're business owners. They own their own shop or whatever, but I thought they could have had a more clever name.
Well, maybe if they thought the script out a little bit more. Or hired someone. I can direct it. I can write it. Don't worry. It's all good. I'll do the casting too. I got that.
And it's funny because they had all kinds of other names, shop names in the movie that they thought they were really clever with. And I was like, yeah, you're not so clever with that one. Yeah, like I didn't actually find any of I guess like the things that they were like, this is clever. Like when they're like, we know we're being clever. I thought is when they were the least clever.
Yeah, agreed.
He tells her to give it a try, but the engine doesn't turn over. She says, strike 3, you're out. My turn. And takes over for him. Linda tinkers with the engine and it turns over.
I appreciate their relationship, by the way.
I do too. I think they have a really good relationship. I wish that they had survived. Rick says, always the first time. Linda gets back in the truck looking very pleased while Rick is shaking his head. She says, I don't want to hear it. Not another word. Rick replies, me? No way. I covered the whole deal when I said for better or worse, remember? Should have been for better or weird. They smooch. And speaking about weird, what about this furniture store thing? Linda tells him to indulge her. We haven't had any fun since we sunk all of our wedding money into the business. Besides, Susie's counting on us. Rick says he doesn't care about, but Linda cuts him off and says, I guess I won't be needing this, and tosses him like this tiny little lingerie thing that she's going to wear. Rick smiles and slams on the gas, and they peel out of the parking lot. So yeah, I'm with you. I like them as a couple. I think it's really cool that they invested their money from the wedding into their own business. I thought that's really neat.
Yeah, it's smart.
Better than what a lot of people do, right?
Yeah.
What'd you invest your money in?
What money?
I know, right?
What did you invest your money in? Plastics. Plastics
are the future.
That's from The Graduate.
Yeah, I understood that reference, as Captain America would say. And plastics are killing our world. Back in the mall, we hear an announcement over the speaker saying the Park Plaza will be closed in 20 minutes. Mike walks into a trendy clothing store and sneaks up on his girlfriend Leslie and grabs her breasts from behind.
That's how Jim Wynorski cast his actors.
Jim Wynorski can come on our show. She gasped.
Look, I don't grab them all. Just some. This is 2022, guys. I don't do that. Now.
Now. She gasps and calls him a horny bastard. Then says, can't you wait? And Mike says, no, I can't. And they start making out in the store. Leslie's dad, the owner of the store, walks up and says, what can't you wait for, Michael? And he was one of the guys we saw in attendance in the beginning.
Yes. Like, get your hands on my daughter, because I'm going to get my hands on her later. Hashtag taboo.
With Kay Parker?
Sure.
Do you know who that is?
She's a porn star, right?
Yeah, star of star of the porn movie Taboo 1 and 2.
Yeah, my brother used to watch those.
Yeah, me
Zach,
too.
get in here. I want you to watch this. What? No, I want to go play with my G.I. Joes. Get in here. I want you to watch this. You want it? I'm going to show you something. It's called a queef. Wait, what?
Beep, beep.
I want to go upstairs. Play with my Joes. No, get in here with all my friends. Wait, what?
Oh, Eric. Oh, Eric.
I told that story once, didn't I?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course.
Yeah, go back to earlier episodes.
Yeah. If you listen from the beginning, it's a tapestry. You weave, you put together a quilt.
And then I followed up with a top 5 traumatic moments with Dustin, I think.
Yeah.
It was a fun episode.
Oh, man. Mike stammers a bit, but Leslie saves his ass. And says, Daddy, he was just telling me about how he couldn't wait to take me over to Susie's house tonight for her birthday party. Mike has a big, cheesy smile, but Mr. Todd doesn't look amused. But he doesn't press further, and he tells them he's running late. Leslie says she'll lock up the store. After he leaves, they go back to making out.
As one should, with a hot guy and a hot girl make out.
And this is where I noticed, I was like, okay, it's like every store is owned by like a small business owner, and that's interesting. But it's also, that is what has happened in America is, all the small businesses have disappeared and just been consumed by Walmart, Target, and Amazon and everything.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
How can you compete with somebody when you can have something delivered tomorrow?
I mean, we're all guilty of it. I don't want to, but I live on the Amazon app just as much as anybody else.
Shit, I want to support small businesses, but sometimes it's so much more expensive.
I know. And I'm with you, buddy. I am with you.
I got to watch every penny. and buy every toy that comes up for pre-order.
Didn't you pre-order? You pre-ordered that JCVD. What was it? Diamond Select toy, right? That's coming out.
I sure did.
Yeah.
I rarely buy action figures anymore because Bodie's pretty much out of action figures at the moment. And but I saw that bad boy come up, and I'm like, this is not for him. This is for me. I've always wanted a Jean-Claude Van Damme action figure based on Bloodsport. Always.
Yeah. You know what's cool? Diamond Select Toys, owned by Diamond, which owns Previews and everything. And if you go in any comic book shop in America, all of their merchandise comes from Previews, comes from Diamond comic distributors, and those Previews magazines. I used to work as a customer service rep there because they're based out of Baltimore, Maryland. And Diamond Select Toys, we were like in the basement of this office park building. Diamond Select Toys was upstairs and everything. And I had friends up there just through smoking outside. I'd run into people, get to know people. I'm not going to lie, smoking was always the best thing I ever did for my social life back in the day. And but the cool thing is that they would just sometimes be like, hey, we got so much shit up here. Everyone just come up and just fucking grab something, and we would go up there and get statues. I had this awesome fucking Shockwave statue and everything. And yeah, it was awesome to see, Diamond Select Toys right there. I don't know where they're located now though.
I don't either, but anybody that makes a Jean-Claude Van Damme Bloodsport action figure is okay in my book.
Agreed.
By the way, speaking of toys, did you notice the G.I. Joe toys that are in this movie?
Oh, yes. And I noted it, and I was going to discuss it when it comes up. I actually made a note of it.
Okay, cool.
Cut to the obligatory woman's locker room in the mall. Sure. Again, I worked in a mall. There were no locker rooms, but okay.
No, there's no locker rooms, Jim Wynorski. Come on. Oh, this is normal. It is?
Written by someone who's never probably worked in a mall.
Take your clothes off. Okay.
Allison is on the phone with her dad asking for permission to stay out. She walks over to Susie, who's getting dressed. She tells Susie she can stay out, and Susie says, "That's bitchin'. I wish I had it that easy. My parents still think I'm a kid," which is weird because you're like 26. Allison looks apprehensive and says, "Why do I have the feeling I'm going to regret this in the morning?" Susie reminds her that she had a very rough first week. "You owe yourself a little blowout. It'll be fun." Allison says, "Okay, just as long as I don't have to look at any more pizza." Susie gives her a big hug and says she won't regret it. You owe yourself a little blowout? I mean, that's, again, another phrase I've never heard, but I get this one. This one I understand.
It would have been really funny if she's like, "You owe yourself a little I owe myself a little blowout," and then she takes some cocaine out and they do some lines in the locker room.
Did you notice the topless lady walk by behind them?
Of course I did.
You're like, what kind of question is that?
I mean, I'm just like, of course. Sure. It would have been really funny, too, if Susie's like, my parents still think I'm a kid. Sorry, it's my emphysema because I'm 26.
Yeah, seriously, dude. I mean, look, it is what it is. It's the way movies are, but it's sometimes suspension of disbelief is a little hard sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, Barbara.
Oh, Crampton. Cut to them walking through the mall while an announcement over the PA says Park Plaza will be closed in 10 minutes. Susie is putting on her makeup and applying a ton of hairspray while Allison says she hates blind dates. Susie says back to her, "Well, stop worrying. Like I said, he's got," and they both say in unison, a great personality. Back in the Killbot control room, another technician played by Garrett Graham walks in.
My boy, my man.
Dude, we saw him in TerraVision. We loved him in that. But we were on Cinema 9 podcast, and what did we see him over there?
The Annihilators, baby.
That's right. Go check out that episode of Cinema 9 podcast. We had a lot of fun talking to the guys over there about the Annihilators, and we still plan on actually breaking down and reviewing that movie as well, but we wanted to put some time between that episode and the proper breakdown.
Yeah, it's shuffled somewhere in Corey's stash.
Yeah.
Or, well, you already opened it, I guess, but
It's open, and since we both have it, we can probably use it if we ever need an emergency or something like that in the future. But
yeah,
it was
we will not have an emergency.
no, as I stare at a stack of 20 movies that you sent me.
Yeah, Garrett Graham was in Phantom of the Paradise too, though. I don't know if we'll ever get to that, but that's one of my favorite Brian De Palma movies.
That is a movie I've never seen, although I've always liked the look of the guy in it, and
Swan.
The fact that you've talked about it so highly for so long, it's very high on my watch list. Do you happen to know if it's streaming anywhere?
No, but I know Shout Factory put out I think it was Shout Factory put out a really nice special edition.
Okay, interesting. All right, I'll check it out. I'll see if I can find it on Amazon or something. Speaking of Amazon, I'll see if I can go find it. Oh man, sorry to our mom and pop Blu-ray stores in downtown Eugene. I'd love to support you, but you don't ever have the new stuff. So you just have a million copies of the generic like John Wick Blu-rays used and stuff. They never have like the Arrow Blu-rays and stuff.
No, sorry.
It is what it is. So all right, our boy Garrett Graham, he walks in reading a book. He says, "Marty, I'm sorry I'm late, but it was all-you-could-eat night at the pit, and I couldn't resist the opportunity to pig out." He looks around but doesn't see Marty. Then he looks at the Killbot and says, "How's it hanging, guys?" Garrett sees Marty's half-eaten donut and shoves it in his mouth and then says to the Killbots, "Waste not, want not, know what I mean?" No, I guess you don't. He sits in his chair with his back to the Killbots and starts reading his book. The Killbots come to life for a second and look around, then power down. Garrett looks behind him but doesn't see anything amiss. The phone rings and he picks it up. "Hello? What do you mean, who is this? You called me." "No, Marty's not here right now." And the person hangs up. This is the first of two weird phone gags.
Yeah. It's funny, though. Garrett Graham's great.
He's great. Garrett sits back in his chair with his back to the robots and reads his book. He keeps turning around when he thinks he hears something, but the Killbots seem to be powered down. It's a little bit padded here, but that's okay because I don't want less Garrett Graham, but this buildup is a bit padded. But just then, one of them shoots him in the back of the neck with like its tasers or something, and then yanks his head back. That's really fucking cool. But this is and that's it. That's the end of the scene. But this is what I was talking about earlier, how these, like, with the big actors like Mary Warnoff and Dick Miller and Garrett Graham, they all feel like they were filmed separately. You know what I mean? As little vignettes.
They probably did. Who knows? Maybe they did a favor for them, or, they were only available for a certain time. And those are the moments I remember from these type of movies when they have little cameos. It's not like they do cameos now where it feels like it's organic and it kind of fits in within the narrative of the story. Not that these don't, but these feel like they've filmed them out of sequence or something, and because they had them for like the short amount of time and they had to take advantage of it.
And I would say even maybe the technician scenes right here might have been filmed later just to even add some time to the film, because they kind of feel like they might not even, like, if they were taken out, you wouldn't probably miss anything.
If this was made now by Jim Wynorski, there would be an extra 10 minutes of sex scenes probably.
And that's fine too.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the audience, the audience that you're appealing to.
Yeah. By the way, can we please interview Garrett Graham?
I know. He would be great.
I would fucking love to talk to him.
Who knows what he's up to nowadays? He's still alive, though.
He is. He's not really in the spotlight anymore, though, is he?
I don't think he is. No, I don't know.
Well,
he's got to be up there, though.
Yeah, probably. Back in the furniture store, everyone is dancing and drinking while music plays on a boombox. Did you like the song that was playing?
No, it's terrible. The dancing is so bad. It's just so bad. Like, cringeworthy, and not in a good way. Like, I love it. This was not doing it for me.
And the song is like street walking, and it's about like a hooker picking up Johns?
Yeah.
Like, why?
Written by Jim Wynorski. No, it's not. Of course, through this whole thing, by the way, if I throw Jim Wynorski in this, I'm just joking. I'm just joking, guys.
We're just joking, Jim. Please come on our show.
Yeah. Because you know you're listening.
We see Ferdy in the bathroom looking nervous as he tries to adjust his collar of his shirt to look cooler.
He does look cooler, though. He does look cooler when he does that. And I'm like, you know what? That's cool. Like, he literally does. It does change his appearance. Popping the collar and...
I'm not going to lie to you. I was digging that vibe. I think you should have kept it.
You should have.
I will say this. I agree with you. The dancing was a little whack, a little lame, but I like this camera shot right here. So we see a cool shot of some of the couples dancing, and they separate as the camera dollies forward and then focuses on the storage room door. That was cool.
Very cool. Yeah. I think his cinematography is solid.
Yeah. Like better than it has any right to be type of thing.
Yeah. Like he's got a good intention there.
Mm-hmm. And weird side note, I kind of always like it in movies when people have to get out of the way of the camera and then sort of try to make it feel organic. And yes, the dancing was kind of like overall lame, but I think the actors did a good job of organically moving out of the way of the camera.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was looking up the cinematographer. His name is Tom Richmond. He's done a lot of things, but not much that I've heard of. Nick and Nora's Playlist.
Oh, Infinite Playlist, that movie?
Yeah. House of a Thousand Corpses.
No shit. Okay. Interesting. Okay, well, that's something. That's definitely something.
Waking the Dead, Slums of Beverly Hills.
Okay. All right. So he's an accomplished cinematographer, and honestly, like you said, I think he did a great job in this movie.
Love in a 45. That's actually a very underrated movie, in my opinion.
Later on, there's a one-take shot where the camera moves around, where everybody's making out and stuff, and I thought that was really well done.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. It's impressive.
And I cut you off when you were saying Love in a 45. Did you say you like that one?
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Underrated.
Okay. Who's in that?
Gil Bellows. If you guys don't know who Gil Bellows is, he was in Shawshank Redemption. He was in that show Ally McBeal.
Oh, is he the one in Shawshank that thought he was doing a good thing by helping out, but then winds up getting killed or something?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
that guy.
Renee Zellweger is in it. It's one of her first movies. Jeffrey Combs is in it.
Interesting.
It's Peter Fonda.
It's like a thriller?
Yeah. It bites off of Natural Born Killers.
Did it come out after Natural Born Killers?
It came out, I think, around the same time.
Okay.
94, I believe. Which I think that was the same time. I feel like it was.
That sounds about right to me, because I was in high school, but I wasn't graduated yet, so that sounds about right. I graduated in 96.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and he was the cinematographer for Killing Zoe as well.
I remember that movie. I saw that once with Eric Stoltz is in it.
Yeah. Oh, shit. I mean, I'm going down a rabbit hole with this guy. He did the cinematography for one of my favorite baseball movies called Pastime.
Okay.
And a movie called Heaven is a Playground, a basketball movie. Oh, and I'm Gonna Get You Sucka, and The Chocolate War, and Stand and Deliver. Wow.
Dude.
Hard Bodies 2.
Chopping Mall, man. Chopping Mall's got it, man. The cinematography.
Yeah, and looks like he got he did the cinematography for the Y&T song Mean Streak, which is a great song, by the way.
Okay.
And Hard Bodies.
All right.
And Hard Rock Zombies.
They are all right. Well, guys and gals, you can go down the rabbit hole later.
Sorry.
We're going to get back into Chopping Mall. So out of the back comes Susie and Greg, leading Ferdy by the belt and shoulder, respectively. Susie says, "Tonight you're going to shake that ultra Wally image of yours once and for all." Ferdy says he likes his image, but they push him in front of Allison, and he immediately stops protesting when she smiles at him. Clearly, he's smitten by her big teeth. Oh, she's never coming on the show.
Not unless we pay her.
There you go. Inside the mall proper, we see each of the Killbots patrolling their assigned floors. They say level 1, 2, and 3, even though the presentation earlier says they would be patrolling the top 3 floors. Okay, who cares?
Sure.
One of the
Who cares? It's just the technicality of the script.
Doesn't matter. It's all good. One of the Killbots stops at the furniture store and looks at everyone partying, but moves on. He's like, not my problem.
Shitty dancing.
Crappy dancing. Nice boobs.
I'll come back later during the love scene.
I love the Dalek voice that you're doing.
You are welcome.
Back in the furniture store, Linda comes out from behind a curtain wearing her sexy lingerie for Rick, who's in bed. He says, lady, you got a license for that outfit? She says, no, officer. You're just going to have to take me in. Then she jumps on top of him as the camera pans over to Greg and Susie kissing on the couch. And this, by the way, is the all one take shot and everything, which I think is very well done for a very sleazy scene.
Yeah, it's a orgy scene, basically.
Pretty much, because they're all right next to each other. Greg says, you smell like pepperoni. Susie gets up and says, if that's the way you feel, and sort of faces the camera, like perfectly faces the camera, right on her mark. Greg says, wait a minute, I like pepperoni. I liked how he said that, by the way.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
I like Greg. Honestly, I like all the male leads in this movie. I think they do a great job.
I agree. Susie reminds me of girls I've dated in the past where, like, you say one thing, they're like, you made a face. What? You made a face like I discussed you or something. Like, wait, what? I was just gonna get a piece of pizza.
And then you feel like you have to like walk on eggshells because you don't quite know what's gonna trigger something and everything. Those are nightmare relationships.
Yeah, I've had a couple of those.
Oh, we know, buddy. We know.
Oh, yeah.
We've talked about a lot of them. So he likes pepperoni. So, of course, that causes Susie to smile. She kind of takes off her top for the camera and does this like a song thing while she's doing it. But
it's very uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable. I was like, no, you don't need to take your clothes off. Don't take your clothes off.
Guys, Sleazy C here. I was uncomfortable too. I mean, like we've seen her naked in Reanimator and everything, pretty much everything. And this is the one time I was like, kind of would have been hotter if you just left your top on.
Yeah.
Again, not Barbara Crampton's greatest role. And I don't think we're being unfair in saying that because we all know she's a really good fucking actor. So, yeah, not her best role. And again, this is still one take. The camera then dollies over to Mike and Leslie in bed. Mike's head is under the covers, and Leslie says, "You know I don't allow that." Mike says from under the covers, "You allowed it last week, didn't you?"
Wow. What girl do you know doesn't like having a guy go down on her?
I don't know. I guess. I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I don't like that.
It's okay.
I don't allow that.
Or maybe she doesn't like the way he does it.
That's what it is.
Yeah, probably. She's trying to be nice. He just sucks at it. Oh, Mike, your head game sucks.
He gives head like he chews gum.
Oh my god. Ooh, he probably has the gum in his mouth right now.
Oh, he's all stuck.
Yep, it's getting stuck in her labia.
Or her hairs.
Yep. Oh god, don't make me laugh. I'll go into a coughing fit. She giggles, and the camera then moves over to Allison and Ferdy watching Attack of the Crab Monsters from 1957 on the couch.
That would have been funny if Mike's like, "Hey babe, look, I'm flossing."
That would have been funny.
Sorry.
You almost made me cough, buddy. Allison screams and buries her face in Ferdy's shoulder. Ferdy asks if he can get her some more wine. Allison says, "Are you trying to get me drunk?" He says, "No, I figured you might be thirsty." He goes on, "Part of the reason Greg fixed me up tonight was so I wouldn't squeal to my uncle. I never thought it would be so, nice." Allison says, "It's nice for me too, Ferdy." And by the way, not the hugest Kelli Maroney fan, but I do think that they have really good chemistry together.
They do. Something happens later in the movie where she doesn't flinch when something kind of freaky happens when everyone else is in them. And I'm like, but here she is totally cowering in the scene. And it makes me wonder if she was just doing that so she could put her head on his shoulder. Yeah, probably.
Good call, buddy. And call out later with what you're referring to. But that's a good call. I like that. I would choose the world building reason versus, you know, bad directing or acting, you know.
I given her credit.
Yes, thank you. And good world building. Just then, we hear Leslie have an orgasm in the bed next to them. Well, maybe Mike did do his job right, you know?
Or he got his gum stuck there. Hold on, babe. We'll be right back.
He saves it in her belly button for later. They kind of laugh, and Ferdy offers to take Allison home because the mall will seal up in an hour. She says that's sweet of him, but she'll stay a little while longer. Then she tosses a styrofoam cup over her shoulder and it lands in the trash can. Ferdy says, "Nice shot." And they kiss as the movie ends. So at first I was like, the first 2 times I watched it for this review, I was like, why did she do that? Why did he say that? He keeps saying to her, "Nice shot," throughout the film. She shoots the gun later. She blows up the Killbot at the end. He says, "Nice shot." I get it. So that's kind of like a running gag thing.
Sure.
Yeah, not the most clever.
Babe's your name, right? Babe is your name, right?
It is Babe, right?
Isn't it?
Oh, man. Cut to our boy, janitor Dick Miller, mopping up a spilled milkshake and popcorn on the ground. Looks disgusting, by the way.
Yes.
2 other janitors walk up to him while drinking beers and asks if he's having a good time. Dick Miller shoots back, "Go ahead and laugh, but if I ever find the little bastards that did this, they're dead meat." God, I love his voice, dude.
Yeah, me too. So good.
Speaking of, I know you just watched Gremlins. What's the dad's name? Hoyt in real life?
Oh, Hoyt Axton?
Fucking love his voice in Gremlins. I don't know him from anything else, but his voice is burned in my brain from that movie.
Yeah, I feel like he was a country singer or something.
I think he was. One of the janitors tells him to hustle or he'll be locked in the mall again. Dick Miller says he's out of there in 10 minutes. They laugh and walk off drinking their beers, probably going to drink more in their cars as they drive home, because that's what people did in the 80s. Dick Miller grumbles to himself as he mops up the mess. He doesn't hear one of the Killbots drive up behind him until he knocks over the bucket of slop. Dick Miller turns around and says, "You clumsy son of a bitch, I ought to turn you into scrap metal for this." The Killbot asks to see his identification badge. Dick Miller asks, "Identification badge?" Then the robot says,
"Do not make any sudden moves."
Dick Miller says angrily, "I'll give you a sudden move upside your head." And he goes to swing the mop at the Killbot, but it fires one of its tasers. The projectile misses him and lands in the puddle that Dick Miller is standing in. And I like how ineffective it is. It's just like a pop, and Dick Miller just like looks down at it. You know,
Yeah.
It's like a little limp dick type of thing. You know,
I'm sorry.
I'm done. He points at the taser and says, "What is this, you worthless pile of junk?" Then he tries to reason with the Killbot. "Hey, look, I'm like you. I work here, see?" And he points to his ID. When the robot doesn't reply, he lifts his mop again and says, "Ah, shit, I knew you bastards were going to be trouble when they first brought you in here." Before Dick Miller can land a death blow with his mop, the Killbot turns on the laser and electrocutes him. The Killbot says,
"Thank you. Have a nice day."
And rolls away while Dick Miller's body is still smoking. And then he's got some like prosthetics on his face too that they didn't do a good job of showing. So I would have just been like, why even apply them, you know?
No, just let him sit there, be dead.
I do like him getting electrocuted though. That was fun. You even see the animated skeleton inside him. Again, another thing I'm 100% always a sucker for is when someone gets electrocuted and you see the skeleton inside them.
Yeah, very cool. I like that.
My favorite is still when Darth Vader throws Palpatine down the shaft in Return of the Jedi, and you can see like his skeleton underneath with the electricity and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's great.
One of the best.
Yeah, I agree. One of the best.
Cut to Mike and Leslie in bed, and Mike says, "Smoking is bad for your health." Leslie whines, "I have to have a cigarette, and I have to have it now." Not gonna lie, as an ex-smoker, I totally understand that. Mike says, "Are you for real? Can't you think of anything you'd rather have besides a smoke?" He starts rubbing her leg and she says no. Mike says he thinks there's a pack of Camels under the register, but Leslie says she only smokes Virginia Lights. Also, as an ex-smoker, I can relate to, having your brand that you want. She tells him there's a vending machine down by the phones. Mike gets out of bed in a huff and says, "You always get your way, don't you?" To which she replies, "When I'm happy, everybody's happy." Mike asks her to hand him his badge, and she says, "What's the magic word?" And he says, "Hand me my badge, please," with a shit-eating grin. Mike goes to walk away, and Leslie calls back to him. He stops and says, What? What? Love that, by the way. Leslie flashes her boobs and says, "Hurry back." Mike unlocks the front door of the store and walks into the mall shirtless. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Mike is supposed to be an asshole, but the fact that Leslie's more of an asshole than he is makes Mike look more sympathetic.
Yeah, there's nothing else that makes you think that he's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's not a jerk to, if he was a jerk to Ferdy, like a la, every cliche kind of, there's always like the bully in the group that picks on the nerd kid, and he doesn't do that. So he doesn't give an inkling that he's a jerk.
Mm-mm. And I think he's freaking awesome. Every time he's on screen, I enjoy his acting. I enjoy what he's doing and everything. I also enjoy him shirtless because, wow, just as a straight heterosexual man, I'm just saying fucking wow.
All I kept thinking the whole time was these dudes probably didn't eat the day before, and all they did was drink Diet Coke, because apparently that's the way that you get your veins to pop out and like look all chiseled. Because these guys did, and I'm like, I guarantee you, they're not eating and they're drinking Diet Coke.
Yeah, I mean, even Greg is fucking ripped in this, and we learned that little tidbit of information on what to do from Dan Stevens on The Guest on behind the scenes stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, he was a smoke show too.
Not gonna lie, definitely tried it, and then I'm like, but I'm hungry.
And now you're all jittery.
Yeah.
At the vending machine,
Subway sandwich.
At the vending machine, he says, $1.25. My God, compared to nowadays, dude. Then Zach's like, I don't know. What is it? Zach doesn't smoke. They're like $20 a pack now or something insane.
As they should be. Smoking's bad for you. Don't smoke, people.
I completely agree with you. As an ex-smoker of 20 years, if I could go back in time, I wouldn't change a goddamn thing. But I'm never going to smoke again, though. The cigarettes, that is. Weed, yes. Then he goes fishing in his pocket for change. We see a Killbot slowly creep up on him, then sort of hide behind the corner when he looks back. Just then, the payphone next to him rings and he answers it. Yeah, no, Jamal, there haven't been any messages for you. And he hangs up the receiver, goes back to a vending machine. Is that a drug dealer thing because they use payphones and whatnot?
I don't know. It's funny, though.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Just then, the Killbot comes up from behind him and asks to see his identification badge. Mike says, "Geez, you little bastards are quiet." Mike presents his badge and says, "Klaatu Barada Niktu, okay?" Which is, of course, a reference to the day the Earth stood still.
And Army of Darkness several years later.
Yep, Army of Darkness.
Sorry.
No, good. I'm glad you called that out. I'm going to call out the fact that on Jabba the Hutt's barge, there are 3 alien types. Like you see them also in now new shows and whatnot, but one alien is called a Klaatu, another one's called a Barada, another one's called a Nikto. So everyone references that fucking movie, The Day the Earth Stood Still. I think I've only seen it once.
I love how people pop boners over Citizen Kane. It's like, yeah, it's a good movie, but I mean, look, things come out after and are better. So it's all good. You don't have to constantly stroke the original.
Yeah, exactly.
Got stroked enough. It's all chafed out. It's all chafed.
And then they remade it with Keanu Reeves back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I never saw it.
I did. Oh, I did because I was working at the video store and I was bored. So I was like, I'll pop that in. So I can't recommend it, but it passed the time when I was there,
Not a Keanu Reeves fan.
Oh my.
Yep. I don't think he's
Hey,
good guy.
Sure.
Not a fan.
Okay. I mean, I'm not a fan of like Nicolas Cage and whatnot. People love, I've liked him more as I've gotten older, but when I was younger, I really couldn't stand him.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. It's not everybody's cup of Joe.
Exactly. The Killbot raises its arms, which is kind of like its aggressive move, which kind of reminds me of like a monkey or something. But he raises his arms and moves towards Mike aggressively. He tries to go out the doors behind him, but they're locked. The Killbot shoots him in the back with a tranq dart, and he goes down hard. But then the Killbot reaches for his throat. Oh, Mike.
Throat punch. He just got banned from Twitter.
Yes, he did.
And then reinstated.
And the scene cuts to Leslie in a button-down shirt and underwear, leaving the furniture store to look for Mike. She says she's not in the mood for games. Allison and Ferdy are still watching TV, while Greg and Susie are on the couch behind them, fooling around.
I want to point out really quick
Sure.
that scene, Allison and Ferdy on the couch, feels like a misstep because that they started making out when that other movie ended, and that one would assume that cuts to them making out, just making out. I'm not talking about having sex or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just making out.
Yeah.
But then it's back to them just watching TV again, like that scene never even took place.
Yeah.
Because they're not being as affectionate with each other as they were right before that happened.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's like they added on. They padded. It's like an outtake that they just added in.
I feel you. I know what you're talking about. I do feel that. The vibe is a little bit different, yeah. Allison asks, what's up with Mike and Leslie? Ferdy says he can't figure them out. All they do is have sex and fight. Allison says, like most couples. Ferdy reminds her they have about 15 minutes before the mall locks up. Allison puts on her sweater and says, Ferdy, thanks. Then turns off the TV. You know,
See,
like most
this
couples.
is the thing. Yeah, like most couples. She makes out with him earlier, and then he's like and then he's being kind of like hands off with her.
But
she says
but do they make out though? Did we actually see Ferdy and Allison make out prior?
No, we don't. But they kiss, right?
Shit. Now I'm having a problem remembering. I don't think they actually do. But I will say this. I don't think they make out, and I don't think they actually kiss. But they were more closely affectionate than they are now.
Yeah, and suddenly she's like, "Thank you for being a gentleman."
Yeah. Like I get what you're saying. The way the previous scene implies, they probably would have progressed to the next level, but it doesn't seem like it happens.
Yeah.
And I'm with you there. I feel that tonal shift as well. Cut to feel something here, buddy. Cut to a close-up of Leslie's ass, aka Susie Slater, as she's walking through the mall.
That's what I wrote. I wrote butt shot.
I mean, it's square in the camera. It's wild. She heads over to the vending machine. This is even more wild, but doesn't see Mike's body in the shadows next to it. As she's calling out for him, she stumbles over his legs and then tells him to wake up. That's it. I don't need this crap. As she shakes him, she kind of pulls him forward into the light, and we see his throat ripped out MacGruber style.
MacGruber!
Hell yeah! Weak! I love Val Kilmer when he says, weak! Leslie screams as the Killbot comes out of the locked door and chases her while firing lasers out of its visor. One hits her in the shoulder and another in the ass, but she keeps running and screaming. Everyone in the furniture store runs to the doors just in time to see Leslie's head explode. The Killbot says, "Thank you. Have a nice day." Then looks like it runs over the actor's foot as it goes by her, saying, "Protector 1, arming, detain intruders." Another Killbot rolls up and says, "Protector 2, arming, assist Protector 1." Did you happen to notice that? I caught it the first time I watched it. It's, obviously a person is laying there, is, the actor. And then the Killbot is being remote controlled by, someone off camera. And it doesn't quite clear her foot. And for a split second, you can see the tread run over her toes. And I'm just wondering if they broke Susie Slater's toes by accident.
Poor Susie Slater.
Greg tells everyone to go into the storage room in the back as the two Killbots shoot out the front door glass and chase the kids through the store. Both Killbots are firing their laser everywhere and destroying the furniture and walls and all kinds of trinkets. I like this. Ferdy grabs Allison and they crash through a glass table. I thought that was a cool stunt.
Yeah, that was cool.
Everyone eventually makes it into the storage room, and they lock the door and barricade it with boxes. They start debating about what to do next when all of a sudden they hear the time-locked metal door shutting all over the mall. That's cool, by the way.
Yeah.
Allison asks what that noise was, and Greg says, that's the sound of us being locked in here all night. The security doors won't open till 6 a.m. Susie starts to panic, and says they're never going to get out of here. Oh, here's my note. She's the fucking Hudson of the group.
She is, but she's so annoying because, like, it's so over the top melodramatic. After being such a kind of cool character, like, she has an immediate meltdown. Granted, you see your friend get their head explode. That's cause for trauma for sure. But still, it's like, it's really kind of grating, actually.
I know, dude. It's one of those things where, honestly, like I said earlier, every time I watch it, I always kind of forget that she dies, but at the same time, I'm also glad that she dies.
Yeah. She's given, in my opinion, too many moments to have meltdown scenes.
Yeah, and then some worst ones are going to come later.
Yep.
Ferdy checks the phone, but it's dead. Allison points to the air duct and asks if that'll work. Ferdy says if they take it down to the parking level, they can get out of the mall. The gang agrees, and the guys start helping the girls up the vents while the Killbots spray explosive gel on the hinges of the storage room doors. One of the robots leaves to go to an alternate access, while the other stays behind to blow the doors. Right when the last girl, Allison, gets into the vent, the doors of the storage room explode and fall over. The guys go running as one of the Killbots rolls into the room shooting. Greg gets hit in his shoulder as they run out the back with the Killbot in pursuit.
When that scene happened, it reminded me a little bit of Phantasm 2 with when the balls get upgraded with their lasers and their drills and like more advanced spheres. And it makes me wonder if Don Coscarelli was a little influenced by this because, these robots have literally every accessory you can think of, like the spheres do in Phantasm 2, which came out 2 years later.
And I like how, I could buy the laser thing because he does say that it's to cut debris or something like that. But why do you need like Semtex or plastique or whatever it is to, in that,
Yeah, it makes me like the backstory could be that they had these hidden in them.
The backstory for me is that these were maybe designed for the military, but the military didn't pick up the contract, so they sold them to like as security force.
Yeah, and they just forgot to. There could be an easy scene where like a general is talking to a private, and he's like, "Private, did you disarm those robots before you sent them off?" And the private would be like, "Yes, sir." And he walks away, and the guy goes, "Oh shit!"
You know what? Cut like a few of the screams out of Susie, Barbara Crampton, and add that little scene in. I'd be happy with that. Good one, buddy.
I would. Sure, thanks.
Good world building. You're the world builder tonight. I've taught you well.
That's how I got through this movie. By world building.
Cut to Allison, Linda, and Susie crawling through the vents. Linda says, "I thought this was an air-conditioned duct." Allison says that it feels like the heat has been turned on. They know we're in here. They're trying to French fry us. The girls are starting to sweat, and they're being burned as they crawl. Allison tells them to wrap whatever they can around their hands. Susie keeps freaking out, saying she has to get out of there. Allison tries to keep her moving.
It's a really rough scene because Allison doesn't even flinch, like emotion-wise, from being cooked in. It's supposed to be super hot in there. Everyone else is kind of not panicking, but she's not even flinching.
So Allison is so Kelli Maroney is playing it too small here, whereas Barbara Crampton is playing it too big in this scene.
Totally, yeah.
Definitely. Greg, Rick, and Ferdy burst through a side door and into the mall proper. Greg says they have to find a way out, but Rick says they have to defend themselves first. He asks if the mall has a sporting goods store. Greg and Ferdy both say, Peck and Paws. Oh, again, this is one of those things. So they're referencing Sam Peckinpah, director of The Wild Bunch. There's another reference later, like Cohen's Little Shop of Horrors or something. Not Cohen, Corman's Little Shop of Horrors, something like that.
Yeah.
And again, these are the clever moments that are just not as clever as they think they are. But again, the movie does other things very, very right. Like later I'll call out when they were like, we hope Mike got out, okay. Like, the fact that they remember characters and stuff.
Yeah, because they never saw him die.
Exactly. But this whole like naming the store Peckinpahs, I'm like, I'm over that type of stuff. When I'm over it is when I started noticing that like, every slasher, every horror movie from the early 80s named characters Cronenberg, Hooper, and you know what I mean? And like, I'm just like, okay, we get it. I get it. You know what I mean?
I think Joe Dante started that, actually.
It's fine once.
I think he did. I think he did it in The Howling. I think. I could be wrong. But I feel like those guys did it, but then everyone else did it too. But those guys did it because they knew they knew those guys.
Yeah,
they were friends with those guys. It's just
I'm just not a fan of that kind of stuff.
It's
You know what it reminds me of, and I know it came a lot later, but in the shitty Matthew Broderick Godzilla movie, fucking everything was a reference. Like Echo Base, Echo One, like was all like Empire Strikes Back references. Then Mayor Ebert and his assistant Siskel and all. I'm like, my God, I get it. Yeah. It's all fucking references.
Jimmy Page and P Diddy. Yeah. Yeah.
That would be cool.
That's what they did.
Did they?
Yeah, they did that song together.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I just want to, purge that movie from my mind.
Well, guess what? My next Pad movie will be Godzilla.
Godzilla, exactly. At Peckinpah's, you know what? Fuck that. At the sporting goods store, Ferdy asks how they're going to get in. Rick says he has the key and smashes the glass door. There's a lot of glass door smashing in this.
There is. So aggressive.
So much glass. Once inside, Rick tells Ferdy to grab a propane tank. Then they all grab guns. Greg grabs a shotgun, Ferdy has a Magnum, and Rick grabs an M16. America!
Reminds me a little bit of the Big Trouble in Little China, where they have their guns and they're like, I wanted to see them start swapping with each other.
Love that scene. Go listen to, we're going to drop our Big Trouble in Little China Carpenter Factor movie review this next month. That's December, right? So, because this month was just Starman. So go listen to Starman. And next month, December, will be Big Trouble in Little China. And we both discussed how much we loved the gun swapping scene.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun with that episode. So if you're not a patron, go check us out because it's worth it.
Check it out.
Check it out. All the patrons that are listening, you guys know how good it is, you guys and gals.
And we thank you and love the hell out of you.
Yeah, we're, coming up on Thanksgiving, so thank you. We're actually post-Thanksgiving, so thank you. We're very grateful for you.
After a quick montage of them all loading their guns, Rick says, let's go send these fuckers a Rambogram. That one didn't work.
Nope.
As the gun-toting boys are walking through the mall, Greg asks Ferdy if he knows how to use his gun. Ferdy says, yeah, I saw Dirty Harry 24 times. Now that worked. I like that.
That works.
Yeah. Because he's also got a fucking giant Magnum.
Or he could have said, I saw Rambo 24 times or whatever.
Does Rambo have a big Magnum like that?
No, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
because the Rambo
the Magnum works for,
And clearly, Rick never saw a movie with M16s in it. Rick asks if they're all set. Greg and Ferdy nod, and then he fires a few rounds into the air to call the Killbots to their position. It doesn't take long for one of them to show up. The guy starts shooting it, and the Killbot returns fire with its lasers. They duck for cover as the bullets bounce off its metal hide. Ferdy rolls the propane tank in front of the robot's treads, and Rick shoots it, exploding the tank. Yeah, so Rick, talk about Rick's shooting style here.
Oh my God. Just go find that clip of John Travolta in The Experts, and that's all you need to know. It's just like he's wincing, he's crying, like he's making these baby faces, like he's twitching. His face is twitching. His body's moving when he shoots. It is hilarious. It's worth the price of admission for this movie. It's one of the highlights of this movie is the way he shoots a gun. It's so just like it's like he's basically spurting out a little joy juice every time.
I couldn't have said it better myself, and I completely agree with everything you just said.
Thank you. Of course you do.
In the air ducts, Susie is still fucking freaking out.
Oh my god, this scene is so pointless, by the way.
I know.
Because it goes nowhere. It goes nowhere because they're going to be out of the shaft in a few minutes.
Out of the shaft.
And I'm like, why'd you fuck this?
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, like, why do we need twice with her freaking out? You could have just had it once. They could have combined this scene with the last one, like what she's about to do. She says she has to find Greg. He needs me. Let me out of here. And then Allison and Linda try to calm her down. Susie says, you do what you want, but I'm getting out of here. And then she kicks open a vent that leads down into a paint store below. So I feel like they could have just combined that action, into the previous scene, and then we didn't need 2 scenes of Barbara Crampton freaking out like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just cut it into one scene.
In the mall proper, the guys check on the Killbot they think is destroyed. It's knocked over on its side and leaking robot blood, according to Rick. Greg tells them not to get excited. They still have 2 more of these suckers roaming around. Rick says they need to get more propane tanks, and he says that he has an idea. In the paint store, Allison and Linda are telling Susie that this isn't a good idea. She keeps saying that Greg needs her and he could be hurt. They all could. She's got to find them. Allison asks Linda what she thinks. Linda says, if we got to go, let's not go empty-handed, as she looks at cans of gasoline. I like Linda.
I do too. And this scene could have been better minus Susie.
Yes.
Because it could have been a total empowerment scene where they just like arm up. They could have made a joke like, those assholes are nothing without us,
Mm-hmm.
And then that could have been the moment where Susie and Allison says to Susie, you know what they say, behind every stud is a badass bitch or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. No, all of that would be better than Susie crying. And I never thought I'd say this, but yeah, the scene would be better without Barbara Crampton in it. It's wild. And
well, don't worry, she'll be dead soon.
Yeah, horribly, I might add. In the mall, we see another Killbot patrolling. It's kind of weird. It ends up hiding in the same dark corner where Mike died and then turns off its visor. Cut to Rick, Greg, and Ferdy running to the elevators. They have 2 more propane tanks with them. They try to call the elevator, but it doesn't work, so they pry the door open by hand. Ferdy says, I gotta worry. Greg says, report from the front. Ferdy's gotta worry. Kind of like that, by the way.
Yeah, me too.
I hate where this goes. Look, what if these things can read our mind? Rick says, then they'll be awfully mad when they get to me. They finally pry open the door and pile into the elevator. So I like Ferdy saying, I gotta worry, and I like report from the front, Ferdy's gotta worry, but then what Ferdy is worried about is stupid. So I'm like, damn it. Like, it could have been better. Like, he could have been like, what if the elevator doesn't work, or like something that actually pertains to the plot at hand.
How does an elevator work too, by the way, if the door's not opening? Does it still work if the...
And also the escalators don't work unless the robots are on them. So so my world building was the Killbots are just controlling the electronics by remote control radio or something. Honestly, that would probably be fine in 2022, but that's probably a high concept in 1986, though.
And reading our minds.
But that's the worst part of it. So, that
agreed.
sucked. In the paint store, Linda is showing Allison and Susie how to make the gasoline cans into Molotov cocktails. Allison says, sounds like you've done this before. Linda says, regular or unleaded, it gets the job done. Allison sees a box of road flares and sticks one down the front of her shirt for later use.
Yeah, I like that.
Me too. Cut back to the one Killbot the boys think they destroyed, and it uses its arm to right itself.
Protector 1 back online.
At the elevator, Greg and Rick are on top of it, and they are setting up the propane tanks to blow it up. Ferdy is at the elevator controls trying to hotwire it. Greg asks Rick, "Do you think Mike got out all right?" Rick says, "For his sake, I hope so." But right now, I'm more concerned about the girls. And so this is what I was calling out. I like the fact that, like, the movie, the characters don't forget about Mike.
Agreed.
They also don't know he's dead, too.
Yeah, it's true.
Greg says, hey, I almost forgot. How much do I owe you for the beer? Rick says, forget it, man. When we get out of here, you owe me a 6-pack. Greg calls down to Ferdy to see how things are going. Ferdy says the doors work now since he bypassed the circuit, but the elevators won't go up or down. They're still controlled by the computer. And so I guess, the Killbots are connected to the computer, so, okay, fine, sure.
Sure, and they read minds.
Yeah, and they read minds. Cut to, and so this is a weird cut right here. So you cut to the hiding Killbot in the corner. It comes to life and rolls out, and Susie turns around and screams. So you never really see the girls leave the paint store,
Yeah.
But Rick and Greg hear it and look at each other. Cut back to the girls running through the mall from the Killbot while holding their Molotov wine boxes. That's what I called it, because they're made out of those giant square gas cans,
Yeah.
Susie never stops screaming. They all hide behind cover, and Allison lights one of the cans and throws it at the robot. The can explodes on the ground but doesn't stop the metal beast. We see the guys running through the mall trying to track down the source of the screams. As the Killbot advances on the girls, they leave cover and run. Susie gets shot in the back of her leg with a laser blast and falls to the floor. She's still holding on to the can of gasoline. The girls can't reach her, and the Killbot finally shoots the tank, setting Susie on fire as Allison and Linda watch in horror. The guys finally get there, and Greg sees his girlfriend burning to death. They shoot the Killbot to no effect as Linda and Allison run past them. The guys eventually have to retreat, but get separated. Dude, I as much as I dislike the Susie character in the second half, the second act of her life in this movie, I didn't mind her at the beginning. I didn't like her when she was screaming. That death is fucking brutal because she's screaming as she's burning alive.
Yeah, I mean it's a good kill.
Yeah.
It's a good kill for a movie. It's an emotional kill.
And you know what? Honestly, all the kills I think are pretty good. Like the Garrett Graham one was good. They're all good.
Yeah, the kills are effective.
Very much so. Ferdy catches up with Allison and Linda, and they use the escalator to get to the floor above. Rick gives Greg his gun and tells him he'll catch up with them and gets in the elevator, then uses the hatch to get on the roof of it. Greg follows the others up the escalators. The Killbot gets inside the trapped elevator as everyone watches. Rick preps the propane tanks on the roof and then jumps off to the level below. Linda, with Rick's gun now. Greg and Ferdy try shooting the propane tank but can't hit it. Allison takes the Magnum from Ferdy and shoots it in one go. The propane tank explodes, sending the elevator crashing down to the levels below. Ferdy says, nice shot. Allison says, Dad's a Marine. Rick looks up at them and smiles. Hold on one second. If I could roll back one thing, I'll keep in all this. I would say, Ferdy says, nice shot, Johnson, which is my Wedge impression from Empire Strikes Back.
There you go.
They actually did a good job of not damaging this mall. And I think I was watching, sort of in my head, figuring out how they did this. I think crashing this elevator was a very effective scene and done kind of cheaply, but done well and effectively.
Yeah, no, I agree. It looks cool. It's a cool stunt.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I know you didn't pick up really earlier. Didn't Greg ask why they left the air shaft?
That's going to come up later.
Okay.
That's going to come up when they're in the restaurant again.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Crossfade to, here it is. Crossfade to the Italian eatery that Allison and Susie work at. Everyone is quiet and tending to their wounds and or weapons. Linda says, according to my calculations, provided we survive the night, of course, we're going to be in hock to this place for the next 85 years. I don't know what that means. In hock?
Well, it means it's an old school expression, like you're going to owe somebody.
Okay. All right. Rick asks how many tune-ups is that? She does a calculation. She goes, 2,900,431. He says, maybe we should raise our rates. Rick looks at Allison and says, hey, Deadeye. And I like how she goes, yo. And he goes, nice shooting. And then here you go. Rick looks up and says, tell me one thing, huh? Why did you leave the air shaft? You were safe there. Allison tells him that Susie thought that he was in trouble. She just wanted to help. Greg gets mad and said, "You should have kept her there." Ferdy tells Greg to leave Allison alone, and Greg tells him to shut the fuck up. Rick walks over and tells him to keep it down. There's another one of those things out there, and you're going to bring it right on us. Linda is shocked. There's another one? Why haven't we seen it? Greg loses his shit and says, "I'll tell you why, because the fucker's out there waiting for us. He's waiting to pick us off one by one, but I got news for you. He ain't getting me," and he loads a shell into his shotgun. Rick says he isn't thinking. "We've got this far by staying together." Greg says, "And a lot of good that did Susie, right?" Just then, Ferdy perks up and says he's got an idea. The master computer is somewhere on the 3rd level. It's on the roof, but okay. We shut it down, it shuts the robots down. Rick says it's worth a try. Greg says, "Computer, huh? Let's go crash the fucker." And, as much as I hate Susie, I really like Greg, and I like the fact that her death affects him, because that is something that would happen.
I wrote down that Susie's meltdown just got transferred into Greg, because he starts having a meltdown. And I don't see why this would have been a great opportunity for Allison's character to be like, why did we leave the shaft? Because Susie was having a meltdown in there. That would have been a quick line, Yeah. But they didn't do that, so it's neither here nor there, I suppose.
Yep, and you're right. Greg is having a meltdown, which I think rightfully so. He watched his girlfriend burn to death.
Understandable.
But he's not going to be around much longer. Such is the way of things for people with meltdowns.
Exactly.
Cut to everyone running through the mall. Greg is in the lead, telling the gang to hurry up. Everyone tells him to slow down. Ferdy says he's losing it. Linda says that he's going to get them all killed. Greg breaks away from the pack and runs up the escalator ahead of them, only to be grabbed by the Killbot on that level and thrown over the edge of the railing. Greg screams as he plummets to his death while the rest of them watch helplessly. And the Greg actor does a good job of laying on the ground with his neck sort of turned and everything.
Yeah, it's great. Good job, Greg.
The Killbot says,
"Thank you. Have a nice day."
Hey everybody, Corey here. I just want to let you know that we'll be right back after these short messages.
Imagine being one of the last people on Earth, being trapped alone with something not human, something always watching, something always waiting. What would you do? Where would you run? Where would you hide if you were haunted for 7 winters alone?
Podcasting After Dark presents 7 Winters Alone, a dystopian haunted house story by David Irons.
Available now in paperback and ebook.
Hello everybody, I'm Adam.
I'm John.
And every week we are giving you a blast from our past.
We are the podcast that brings you full-on movie breakdowns, TV show reviews, album reviews, top 10s, and more, all from the things of our nostalgic past.
So please join us every single week on the Blast from Our Past podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts. However you listen to podcasts, you can find us, and we would love to have you take a trip with us to the land of nostalgia.
And now, back to the show.
The rest of the group runs around to the other escalator to go down a level, but they see another Killbot. Allison says, "The first one, you didn't kill it." They run while the Killbot above goes down the escalator to intercept.
Protector 3 to level 2. Detain intruders.
The other Killbot goes up the escalator and says,
Protector 1 to level 2. Detain intruders.
And then this is when I noted that the escalators work only when the robots use them.
Sure.
Our survivors make it to a department store with metal shutters instead of glass doors. Rick shoots the lock, and they pry the shutter open enough to crawl under while the two Killbots advance on them. Allison gets shot in the arm by a laser bolt as she's crawling under, but she's okay. They close the steel shutter back down. Rick asks, where to? Ferdy says, escalator, 3rd level. Allison says they can't lock the doors now. They'll get through. Rick jams a piece of metal in the gear mechanism, and they run back.
It's really fucking funny when he does, because it's so ridiculous. It's so funny when he jams the door.
Outside the metal shutters, the Killbots look at each other. One says,
instructions, attempt entry, level 3.
The other one says, affirmative, like Newt. No, I'm just kidding. It says affirmative. As the one Killbot leaves, the other starts cutting a hole through the door with its laser.
Yeah, cool.
We see the other Killbot go up the escalator in the mall proper as our survivors go up the escalator in the department store.
Protector 3, level 3, search proceeding.
Ferdy, Rick, and Linda and Allison make it to the doors on the 3rd level, and Rick stops Ferdy from opening it. He says they could be out there. Ferdy says those things can go anywhere they want. Allison suggests maybe we'll stand a better chance if we split up, while Linda wraps her arm in her makeshift bandage. Ferdy is shocked. Are you kidding? The moment any one of us go out there, we're dead meat. Yesterday's news. Linda freaks out and tells Ferdy to stop it. Ferdy apologizes. He didn't mean to upset her. Linda says it's not him. She's just not used to being chased around a mall in the middle of the night by killer robots.
Would have been funny if she added a fucking in there. By fucking killer robots. And I just want to point out, too, that Ferdy basically says he doesn't want them to split up, but then they split up in a little bit.
But he doesn't want to split up with her either then, too. Like,
That's
that's consistent with his character, I'd say.
Yeah, but he still lets it happen.
It's because he's a cuck.
He is a cuck.
I can't laugh, guys. I'll die. I'm trying. Zach's killing me, though.
Don't be a little bitch.
I hate you right now. I hate you.
Sorry.
Back downstairs, Protector 1 is still cutting through the door. Crossfade to everyone waiting. Linda is asleep on Rick's shoulder, and Ferdy puts his arm around Allison to comfort her. Downstairs, Protector 1 finally cuts through the metal door and knocks it down. Everyone hears it and looks up. Linda screams, "It's in!" Allison says, "And it won't be long before it comes our way." Ferdy says they gotta get out of there, but Rick stops them. "Not so fast. One of them could have doubled back. We could get picked off out there." Allison stands up. "Look, if those things want some target practice, why don't we give them some targets?" They all look at the mannequins behind them. Cut to Protector 3 outside the 3rd floor door. It opens, and the Killbot raises its arms. I love how it's like right away when it's in attack mode, it just raises its arms.
I am a monkey.
It is very monkey-esque.
Ooh, ooh, ah, ah.
We see that the gang has set up a bunch of mannequins as decoys and hides within the group. They open fire as Protector 3 rolls in. It shoots back but hits the mannequins. Ferdy tells Allison and Linda to run. Rick yells, "Ferdy, now!" And they both remove blankets covering 2 mirrors behind the mannequins. The Killbot shoots the mirror, and its laser is bounced back, hitting it. This causes Protector 3 to short circuit. It starts spinning in a circle and firing wildly around the department store. Linda stops, like an idiot, to look for Rick and takes a laser blast to the gut. She screams and falls over dead. Rick yells and gets on a motorized go-kart thingy and drives straight at the crazy Killbot. Allison yells, "Rick, no!" as he crashes into it. The Killbot electrocutes Rick to death before blowing up. Allison and Ferdy are all that's left. He says to her, "Let's go find that computer." You know, I get why Rick would do that. You know what I mean? Like
makes sense.
His wife just got shot. But come on, girl. She was standing there. His laser blasts are going everywhere.
It's just like a quick way to get rid of everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. But at least Rick took out that Protector.
Yep. I also believe that this Wynorski might have been influenced a little bit by Terminator, because he kind of turns Baloney Maroney into kind of like a Linda Hamilton kind of tough girl at the end.
I always forget. What year is Terminator? Is it 84?
84, yeah.
Man, I haven't seen that movie in forever. I got to go back and watch that and T2. Movies that I love both of those movies. When we were talking about the sex scene, go listen to the Black Moon Rising episode. Good one, buddy. Good one. So we see a quick shot of Protector 1 crashing through a glass door. I don't even know what that was because the other one was a metal. I don't know what that was supposed to be. Cut to Ferdy and Allison running through the mall proper. She asks where the computer room is, and Ferdy says probably off one of these service corridors. She says there's a million doors. We'll never find it. You try over there and I'll try over here. Ferdy says he doesn't want to split up. She says, what can happen? Which is stupid. And he says, you want a list? What can happen? You've seen so many people die in front of your eyes horribly.
Yeah. Fucking baloney Maroney. Come on.
Maroney. What can happen? You want a list? She reminds him that they're wasting time. Ferdy relents and says, okay, look, if you even think you hear or see anything, she cuts him off and says, you'll hear me. Ferdy agrees and they go their separate ways. Cut to Allison walking through a back hallway. This is so dumb. When something drops from the ceiling and scares her, it looks like a mess of wires or maybe a giant gag spider.
That's what I wrote. I'm like, was that a rubber spider?
So I thought it was a rubber spider, but that made no sense why that would be there. So I was like, it must be like rubber wires. But the thing is, it goes by so quick, you can't even pause to see what it is.
Yeah.
It's a cheap scare and it's dumb.
Pointless.
We also see Ferdy creeping down a hallway with a gun drawn. And also, shouldn't he have given the gun to Allison? She's clearly the better shot.
Yeah, but he's a man, and this is the 80s.
He's not just a man, he's a man's man.
He is a man. He is not a boy. He has pubic hair.
Do you remember the bar mitzvah episode of Seinfeld where the kid says, like, I'm a man, and he kisses Elaine, like, with, like, full tongue or whatever? And then she tells Jerry later, I love how Jerry goes, he's not just a man, he's a man's man. Fuck, love that.
I love it.
Cut back to Allison, and she sees a door slowly creak open. She grabs a metal pipe and then throws open the door, only to reveal a dangerous amount of discarded metal piled up behind it. Someone should be fired for that.
Yeah.
Allison goes through another door and finds herself in another storage area. As the camera is sort of like her POV walking through it, did you note the G.I. Joe helicopter toy box on the left?
I did.
Did you have that toy as a kid?
I did not.
I did, but I did not have that version. I had the Tiger Stripe version.
Oh, which was a little bit later in the 80s.
Yes, it was. That was when they reissued some stuff, but then they repainted them.
G.I. Joe's coming for you. We're gonna put tiger shit all over the thing. G.I. Joe is there.
And then that was also when, like, didn't Cobra, they had, like, the Python Patrol or something like that?
Tiger Force versus Python Patrol. G.I. Joe.
You know, I mean, as a kid, I loved it. Like, I loved my helicopter and I loved the colors of it. But as an adult, I'm like, I see what you did there. We all see what you did there.
It's fake horror. We're going to make him blue. It's He-Man, but he's fake horror. He's a fake one.
Yep.
Honestly, I would have totally been down for them just to do the same paint job on He-Man, but have a detachable face or a robot face. Robot face.
Robot face. Yes.
I did not. I wanted it. I always wanted that helicopter with Wild Bill. I never really had the vehicles. I had mostly just the figures. They were too expensive at the time.
I was going to ask if you had any of the vehicles, and you said you didn't. But if now looking back, I mean, I think they're all amazing. If you could have one, what was your most coveted G.I. Joe toy vehicle that you could have?
If I could have any one, oh man, that's tough because like part of me would want the big jet, but functionality probably like an Awe Striker. You know, because you could put 2 or 3 or 4 figures in that thing, like the Jeep. and it's so badass with the gun on top.
Yeah.
I like the ones that you could hold a bunch of figures in.
Yeah.
Like our good buddy Mark Fong gave Bodhi Shark, the whale.
Oh, I never had that, but a friend of mine did.
So Bodhi has it downstairs in his room, and that thing fits 10 figures easy. So cool.
So cool, dude. So awesome. I was a little
How about you?
I was a little bit spoiled by my mom and dad. I had a lot of the vehicles, not a ton, maybe just a handful of them, but I did have that giant black Cobra jet that had like another jet on the back of it.
Oh, the Blackbird or whatever that was?
Yeah, something like
thing
that.
was dope. But it's so big.
It was huge, and it was a little bit almost too cumbersome for me to play with it.
Cumbersome by Seven Mary 3?
I actually love Seven Mary 3, and
too.
I know that song. Wow, good call, brother. Good call.
I have become cumbersome to this world.
But
he calls me a friend and I'm me to friend. Sorry.
I may go back and listen to them. But anyways, but my favorite G.I. Joe vehicle, and mostly as a kid, my favorite vehicles and stuff were always snow-related things, and I liked that.
Yeah.
I liked that Cobra Snow Cat thing. It wasn't like first gen; it was like mid-gen somewhere.
Yeah.
Kind of had this weird pod control system on the side for two guys.
Yeah.
And then missile rack in the front. Do you remember that one?
I do. It came with a really cool Viper, like the Snow Viper or whatever. He kind of had like a hockey mask almost.
And he had a
hood.
Plastic helmet that you could put on top of it and everything. Yeah, that was hands down my favorite G.I. Joe toy as a kid.
Corey was spoiled by his parents, and he got this cool G.I. Joe. And now back to Chopping Mall.
You're not wrong, brother. You're not wrong.
Cumbersome to this world.
So Allison slowly makes her way to the back of the room when all of a sudden, Protector One just taps her on her shoulder. Allison spins around and screams for Ferdy.
Would you like to dance?
Dude, how silly is that? He just like he could have just killed her right there.
Yep.
That was weird. We see Ferdy creeping down a hallway. He hears her scream and goes running back the way he came. The Killbot slowly rolls towards Allison with its arms raised as she screams for Ferdy. This is annoying with her screaming like this.
Yes, it is annoying. And this dawned on me too. The guns don't work on these things. So why do they have so many guns?
Which guns? Wait, what now?
Like the guns don't work on the robots.
Yeah, so like why even like bother carrying them? Yeah, because all we've seen is the bullets bounce off, Yeah. And of course one bullet will in a second work on something, but yeah, for the most part, yeah, it's pointless. I mean, they're freaking tanks. They're just tanks.
Yeah.
It's like trying to shoot Ed 209 with like a 9mm.
Exactly.
It ain't gonna happen, Jack. So the Killbot slowly rolls towards Allison with his arms raised, like I said, and she's screaming for Ferdy. He finally comes bursting through the door and tells her to get out. He points his magnum at Protector One's visor and shoots it point blank, destroying its laser weapon.
Finally.
That's fine.
Laser malfunction. Laser malfunction. Detain intruder. Detain intruder.
The Killbot follows Ferdy into the mall proper as he keeps shooting it.
Detain intruder!
Allison runs out of the storage room after them. Ferdy is backed against the railing and all out of bullets.
Stop right there!
Ferdy throws his empty gun at Protector One. It has the same effect as the bullets. Nothing.
Nothing.
Allison finally catches up to them and Ferdy tells her to get the hell out of here. He picks up a fire extinguisher and throws it at the robot. Again, it just bounces off its metal hide. It's a tank, for Christ's sake.
You little bitch.
I do like how the Protector One picks up the metal extinguisher and hurls it back into Ferdy's chest. He flies back and hits the ground hard. We see blood coming out from his head. Protector One rolls over to Ferdy and says,
"Thank you. Have a nice day."
Then it turns around and goes after Allison. She runs through the mall with the Killbot in hot pursuit. She eventually picks up a metal trash can and smashes the glass to a pet store. Allison hides under the dog kennels and moves a bag of dog food in front of her to hide behind. As Protector One is searching for her, he knocks over a glass container full of tarantulas and a snake. They crawl on Allison, but she maintains her composure. The Killbot can't find her, so he moves on. Once the coast is clear, Allison crawls out from the hiding spot and she steps on one of the spiders.
It's a funny scene. Like, I get it. I mean, back in the day, we didn't know what we know now about those kind of animals, and they're all domesticated snakes and like super harmless. Everything's harmless. But back then, it was probably much more shocking.
What was also shocking was, did you see that product placement on the right side of the frame? That, I don't know what the actual product is, but the way it was cut, it says cock starter.
Yeah, it might have been a gag.
Might have been.
They also call that pet shop Roger's Little Shop of Pets.
That's what it is. It wasn't Corman's because it's Roger Corman, but yeah, it's Roger's Little Shop of Pets.
I'm like, oh, it's so witty.
And dude,
not really.
They even panned the camera up across it. That's how clever they thought it was.
Yep. Look what we did. Look what we did. We did this for your husband.
No, that doesn't work. Allison slowly walks through the pet store, but screams again when a cat or bird or something.
I know. Come on.
Dude, you can't even see what it is. I didn't even know what it was, and it was clearly something that was just thrown at her, you know?
So she sees carnage and doesn't even flinch, and then something spooks her and she gets all freaked out.
Yeah.
It's like very, like her manic degrees of acting. It's a little frustrating.
Yeah. But of course, the scream causes Protector One to turn around and come back. She runs through the mall, but finds herself by the 3rd-story railing. Protector One catches up to her, but can't find her. She's hanging over the ledge of the railing above a tent.
Impressive stunt.
Yeah, very much so. Allison slowly loses her grip and falls to the floor below, but the tent and luggage break her fall. Apparently, she did her own stunt there.
Yeah, it looks like it. It's impressive.
Yeah, I mean,
nice job.
I'll give her that. I'll definitely give her that.
Nice job, Maroney.
Nice job.
Nice job, Maroney, baloney, macaroni.
She starts crawling away as Protector One descends down the escalator after her. Allison pulls the road flare out from her bra as she crawls.
Nice nod back to the early in the movie. Good callback, good callback.
Yes. She sees a paint store and gets to her feet. She then covers herself with her sweater and uses her upper body as a battering ram to go through the glass door. And I was like, that's impressive.
Yeah, suddenly, like, the decisions and the choices she makes are kind of smart and make sense.
And that's why she's one of the few people alive at the end. So good for her.
Yeah.
Allison starts dumping cans of paint all over the floor by a pile of other cans of paint.
Isn't it funny how strategic she is about what cans of paint she pulls out? It's like there's paint fucking everywhere, but she's like, I'll take 2 off this shelf. Ooh, I'll take the mocha rouge.
Well, she has to get colors that look all pretty when they come together. Yeah,
it's so funny because it's not like she just took. You wouldn't just take all of them off one shelf.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. And just knock them over and everything.
Roy G. Biff. It's got to be Roy G. Biff.
It has to be. She yells, "Come on, you little bastard," as Protector One comes driving into the store. It smashes through another glass door while Allison hides behind a pillar. The Killbot slips and slides on the wet paint, giving Allison enough time to run past her into the mall proper. Now, she slides when she does, and that was an accident. She didn't mean to, but I think that actually looks really nice.
Yeah, it looks good.
She yells, "Hey!" And then she lights the road flare. Then she says, this is weird. She goes, "Have a nice day." And then it goes, day, 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 day. It does that weird reverb thing as she throws it into the store, igniting the wet paint, setting off a huge explosion. This obliterates Protector One. And honestly, it looks fantastic when it explodes.
Yeah, it does.
Allison is blown back and Protector's one arm is on the ground next to her. She crawls away from the fire and eventually gets to her feet. As she hobbles through the mall, we hear Ferdy yell, "Hey!" Allison looks up and he's on the level above her. He's using a roll of toilet paper to sop up the gaping blood. Wait, what was the SNL sketch? Massive Head Wound Harry.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
He says, "Nice shot." So there you go. The 3rd time. They run to each other. Oh, do you know what? I bet you they put that first one in to make this one the third one because, you always have to have the rule of 3.
Sure.
They run to each other and hug as the camera cranes up to the ceiling and we see it's daylight. Roll credits. And then I always like credits where you see the actor from the scene or something like that, and it's fun. But then, of course, I love how, they use Susie Slater's head exploding to show her,
Yeah, part of me was like, oh, did Predator rip this off with the credits at the end where they turn? I would have been nice if they actually turned and looked at the camera, like, broke character.
Well,
but
that's what makes the Predator one great, is because it's like outtake stuff. Here they're using like footage from the movie. I would rather see outtake footage.
They should have. It would have been great.
Yeah.
It would have been so cool to break character.
I like that. Break kayfabe.
Anyways.
But break kayfabe, yeah. So Zach, Chopping Mall. You haven't, you said you haven't watched it too many times. I felt like we kind of shat on the movie a little bit while we were reviewing it, but overall, I still find this to be a very enjoyable film. Even at 76 minutes, though, I think they could have trimmed maybe 3 minutes of screaming here and there, and it would have been even better. But at the end of the day, this is a movie that I'll keep revisiting throughout the rest of my life. And I think it's a fun movie to probably show people who have never seen it before, or maybe who aren't into these silly cult movies from the 80s. I think this might be an easy one for people to sort of digest,
Yeah, this is definitely a watch with a group type movie because you got to laugh at so much of it. And it's much more enjoyable if you're watching it with your friends or buddy, whatever, It's, yeah, I think it would be not authentic of us if we weren't shitting on certain scenes, or moments in this movie, because there are moments that are just like, ugh. It is not a cult movie where you go, wow, this movie's badass. It's more like, wow, this movie's cheesy and silly, and you just laugh at it. Yeah, so it's a laughable film. Of course, take many of the comments, at least that I made, in tongue in cheek. It's silly.
We're here to entertain,
Yes, come on. And this movie is there to entertain as well. It's there to be over the top and obnoxious, and yeah, there are flaws, but you know what? It doesn't take away from the fact that it's an enjoyable film if you watch it with a group.
Yeah, agreed. And like we said before, honestly, if you want to hear more about it, go listen to the Tony O'Dell interview. We talk about a lot of different stuff there, which it's a great interview, but we also talk a lot about, Chopping Mall. So go check that out if you haven't already. And please.
Oh, and he gives his thoughts on a potential Chopping Mall Part 2. Because it is being discussed.
Yeah.
Or it was at that point.
Yeah, who knows at this point. And I thought about that. I didn't even think about what he said. I just thought about that when I was done watching this movie. I was like, you could easily do one of those things and like have, Tony O'Dell and Kelli Maroney's characters, like their kids working at the mall now or something, or they own a store, something.
Totally.
You could totally do something with it. So, and, I think it's fun. And you know what else I think is fun? My voice disappearing. But other than that, I think $2 late fee is fun. Zach, what you got going on this month? Actually, no, we're pretty much at the end of November, so I'm sure everyone had a good Black Friday and everything. This is kind of appropriate. What you got going into December with $2 late fee?
We just dropped our Teen Wolf 2 35th reunion episode with 3 of the stars from the movie, including Mark Holton, which people will know from Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Leprechaun and Naked Gun. A few days from the drop of this episode, Dustin and I will be, along with Diallo, will be at Los Angeles Comic-Con, and Dustin and I will be interviewing Joe Dante, the director of, so many, in my opinion, one of the greatest directors of the 80s, bar none.
Are you going to ask him why Explorer's third act dies?
Potentially. That might be on the docket. Yeah, we're going to do like a little live episode with him and then a Q&A with fans. And then Brendan Hay will be joining us as well. Brendan Hay is the executive producer of Secrets of the Mogwai, which is the upcoming Gremlins cartoon. And then we roll into December with, I feel like we did the Warriors on Pad in December a few years ago. I think that might have been my choice, I think.
I'd have
but
to,
we're
go back
devoting.
and check that, but I don't. Yeah,
I think so. We're devoting all of December to the Warriors. We've got some cool things coming up for that. So definitely some nods to Pad for sure. But yeah, if you guys like what you hear on Pad, and you know that Corey's this is like, for me anyways, I know Pad's a part of the BFOP family, $2 a part of the Geekscape network, but I'm like the glue between the two, you know, Pat and $2 late fee. This my two sister wives, Corey and Dustin. My two. I'm in a polygamous marriage, so
you certainly are.
Polyamorous, I guess I should say.
You really are, and you know, like you said earlier, if you want to know what we're covering in December ahead of the game before the episodes drop, Zach and I will be recording our wrap up after dark. Where I think we're going to record on Thanksgiving. And we are going to, as usual, open up our movies and announce what we're going to be doing in December. So always fun times there. And of course, speaking of $2 late fee, next year we're going to have another, crossover event like we always do. And hopefully, it seems like if you and Diallo, our pal Diallo from TV Obscura, if you and him are doing stuff, next year at LA Comic-Con, then maybe that'll be the con that I come in town for, and we set up a booth or something, so.
Well, we could do a live panel there too.
Yeah. I'm totally down with that. So that gives us a year to sort of plan that and figure that out. But I think financially, given my situation currently, it's going to be doable. So Zach and I are going to have real discussions about it and see how it goes next year.
Sounds good.
But one thing that would be great if y'all did was check out the Carpenter Factor on Patreon. We have a blast over there. Starman was a surprise hit for us. We really enjoyed Starman, and we had a great discussion there. We also, of course, had a great discussion with Big Trouble in Little China, which also means that in January, we will be talking about Prince of Darkness. And if you haven't signed up, you don't know what it is, the Carpenter Factor is us going through every single John Carpenter movie in his catalog in order and revisiting the movies that we've already discussed, like The Thing and soon to be Prince of Darkness. But we don't break the movie down like we do here. It's just a free-form discussion, but the idea is that it's focused on how that particular movie feels as part of the overall filmography.
Yeah, it's a different take on what we do normally on our shows. And it's a fun discussion, a lot of fun details, and always makes for a great conversation. And you guys like listening to us, so it's even more of that.
I feel like I'm learning a lot too, and I'm kind of like seeing some bigger picture stuff and everything. So I am
too,
having a blast with it. And once we're done with John Carpenter, we're going to move on to another auteur. But it's under the Auteur de Force tier. Thank you for naming that one, Zach, on our Patreon page for $5 a month, and of course, all proceeds go to help the show grow and everything. So thank you all so much.
We're showers. We're growers, not showers.
There you go. And as always,
we'll catch you on the dark side. Be sure to subscribe to Podcasting After Dark and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes. Support Podcasting After Dark on Patreon. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Podcasting After Dark. And visit us next time for another installment of Podcasting After Dark with Corey Stevenson and Zach Schaefer.
Have you been wondering where's the beef? Well, on our podcast, Throwback Trivia Takedown, you might just find that out, as well as some other things about the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
We're a nostalgic-based trivia show that pits two challengers head-to-head in a duel of the decades, with categories ranging from movies, TV and music, to slang, food, and fashion. You're sure to get the best in retro-themed trivia.
So strap on your jelly shoes, grab a Surge, and walk like an Egyptian to your favorite podcast app and check out Throwback Trivia Takedown.
I heard even Mikey likes it.